Fantastic Monday. The market movement was definitely there. You can see the distinctive trend to the downside. So a really good Monday. Katina Man absolutely hit NVDA out the park. The Leafs won last night, a big W, 6-2. Let's see what the big boys are up to.
Yeah.
Yo, the Leafs absolutely knocked it out of the park.
It's more about the Leafs.
They played. That was a good start, man. I know the thing about, and Joe knows this, Sean knows this, any Toronto fan knows this. The level of overreaction to like one game or one series in the playoffs for Toronto fans, like the drought is so long, the team has so much history. Like you have to imagine, like the Yankees, if the Yankees hadn't won in like 50 years, if the Celtics hadn't won in 50 years, like it's just that kind of a deal. So, you know, we're going to be happy about that. But we absolutely cannot be happy with how weak this market is. And I'm not saying we didn't have any headlines this morning. Like, yeah, you had the spat between Trump and Powell. You had China sort of clapping back a little bit at any nation that wants to talk deal with the U.S. that would be out of China's interest. But it didn't feel like it was going to be a 3.5% down day on the NASDAQ. When you sat down, it's like, yeah, well, I feel like bearish today. I don't think we're feeling 3.5% bearish. I don't think we're feeling Tesla 7.5% down bearish on the day. Yet here we are. And what's crazy is it barely even made a fresh low during lunch. And it's still down 7.5%. It just, we've been dying all morning long. Stocks that we're holding,
Stonks.
IBIT's not a stock, right? Like it's Bitcoin. Bitcoin was holding strength all day, hit pre-market lows, retagged $49, and it's actually headed right back into the low of the day. Like it's just wild, the reversals that we've seen. Nvidia's down. Nvidia could catch Tesla at this rate. It's down 6 1/3, so the bleeding is pretty much everywhere. It's just that kind of a day for the markets. And you look at a lot of the big cap tech, like Apple. Apple was faring decently in the morning, and it's just joined everything else. There's almost nothing that you could run to today. To be honest, to get yourself, like gold ended up pulling back, so there was almost no place to hide for the shorts. Thankfully, there were some shorts on, but you saw with my Tesla, I didn't hold it long enough, and I went like green to red to trying to get back to green on IBIT because that started to give it up. It's like there's just not much holding it up today, Sean.
Yeah, no, there isn't at all. And we had actually looked at, I was just looking at it right now. Where the heck did that chart go? The Qs that we were looking at, where's my daily chart from the Qs? I'll find it eventually, but I don't know where it is anymore. But we were just looking at that level breaking. Hold on, I'll just call it up for you guys here and just edit the chart. But it was that level there at 432 or so that was coming through as we zoomed out, and we had sort of looked right here at this level earlier on in the day. And we're like, well, if this breaks, then, like, you know, we have that huge up day when, you know, all of a sudden we heard noise from Donald that day, as we all remember that it was, you know, people were getting the yips or whatever it was about the stock market there, and then the market just took off as there was potential for a pause there in the tariffs, and we all know what happened after that. Give back the next day, then we almost get right back into those highs again in 2 days later, and then ever since that, it's been, you know, there's the high, there's the high, there's the high. We come in today, there's the high. So we were always thinking about what happens if we break that level. That was 432 and change. Now you're down into 428 and change, and looks like you get a little bit lower. So once you're into here, you're in rarefied air because we kind of gap. Although this is what a gap looks like when it happens in the middle of the day. We gap higher through those levels, and now we have to retest and see if there's any love down here. You know, for me, the next little area to buy would be in and around, and we talked about this, 420. So, you know, all kidding aside, there was just, of course, where is it? There it is.
True.
You know, so that just looks like, again, if you take that aside, what about there? 420 could be a level where we may get some kind of support, and then after that, you go back into 410, and then if that breaks, you're a heck of a lot lower, and you wonder why you were buying this whole time. But yeah, no, just a little nasty there today. You know, we're in Palantir now. It's a good little run to the high side. We've been chasing longs in this all day pretty much. Started off pretty good. We've just been giving some back. We tried the long there, just broke. We tried it again at 50s, it broke. And then once it looked like we may have had a bottom there at 30s, we bought again. And now that's the trade that we're currently in. So, oh, and then Mara, we've actually did pretty well on Mara. Mara, we were able to get that drop in. We talked about that move. And then it just came into $12. So I just bought it down down there, basically against 12 or so, and now it's trying to bounce back upside a little bit. So these are the two trades that I'm dealing with at this time, and we'll just have to go from there. And, you know, I'm not going to start talking about gold. Obi was talking all about gold before, so there's that play happening. And then because we talked about 420, last week we did see, okay, I was going to say we did see Tilray start to go up, and we had wondered if there was something to do with weed.
CGC was moving a bit more than Tilray. It
What,
pulled
today,
back,
or?
well, last week, a little bit more than Tilray, and it bounced right off the dollar. At least last I checked, it was trying to bounce off the dollar today. That could be worth watching. You never know. Sometimes when there's nothing, when the market's bleeding to the downside, you need a good squeeze name. You know, something that's like a small capper that's running. I don't see too much that's been catching my attention. But we got a super chat from Caleb, so just want to address it. Thank you for the super chat, Caleb. We appreciate you. Appreciate all the viewers for sure. If you have questions, make sure you hit the subscribe so you can add us in the chat or ask questions or discuss with anybody in our great community. AMCR, a possible merger with Barry was announced but not confirmed. BlackRock owns 100 million shares and it has a decent short float. Thoughts? So, and I could be wrong about this, but there's a website that I use, Alpha Rank, to look at mergers and acquisitions. I see it as an actual confirmed merger that's supposed to be closing in May between AMCR and Barry. So maybe just double check that. Because if it's confirmed and it's an all-stock merger, which is the information that I see, then ultimately those things tend not to squeeze. It's just going to move with the, like AMCR will end up moving. Like Barry would just move the same way in theory that AMCR would, right? So both charts should look somewhat identical in a stock merger. So yeah, they can be interesting to trade in certain circumstances if like a deal is uncertain, but in this case, you can see they're just following each other because as far as I know, the merger is going to be confirmed. I hope that helps you. Thank you for the super chat, of course, as well. I'm just in IBIT and then Intel, which I feel like those were the two things that we were looking at before. Well, that's right. Joe is going to be doing the rundown at the desk because we don't have the green screen.
All right, guys, welcome to the afternoon rundown. The segment chose by you guys. So make sure you get in the chat. You have to vote with Obi and Sharif and I to get those votes in here, guys. And we're going to be talking about some big names today. We got some Netflix earnings here. So Netflix playing offense while other stocks are playing defense here, guys. I mentioned that the CEO is looking for that advertising growth to nearly double in 2025. These live sports are really coming into play here on Netflix, still up about 0.4% here, guys.
Yeah, faring better than the market in a percentage basis, but like every or almost every single strong stock that we had this morning, it's right back and trending lower as we speak. The good news is we're holding the 50 period today. So day one post earnings, and we're resisting breaking that 50 period. I said this morning I like Netflix at the 200, which would be a ways away. I think you'd have to lose a bid here. I like what's going on in the ad tier, but unfortunately this is just the kind of environment where buying at these levels, I'm not feeling it. When a day like today really tells you something. Like the strong stocks just weren't enough to make us find a bottom and maybe get that relief rally, which how many times have we seen that where, you find you get a couple of strong stocks out there, we get the NASDAQ trading down, and then at some point in the midday, the afternoon, we get that nice little rally, and whether or not we hold on to it, there at least has been a bounce. Well, because the strong stocks decided to then break lows as well, unfortunately, I just feel like we're in the wrong environment for anyone wanting to buy premium, anyone wanting to buy things with what they think are elevated PEs. I think these guys are somewhat recession-proof to a certain degree, but that doesn't mean they are going to be able to just withstand going lower. I think the market can go lower. I think Netflix can see the 800s, whether it deserves to or not. I'd be a buyer down there, but yeah, I'm not up here. Not yet. Not yet.
No, I mean, I already said that earlier this morning that I think Netflix goes lower from here, and that was when it was up 3% or whatever it was in the pre-market here as we were talking about it. So, yeah, I feel like we won on that take. It did take up higher today, and as I was explaining before, and as Neil just said there now too, its PE is still 45, so it's still double what the market is. So, if they're going to hit anything to the downside, maybe it's Netflix turn. Remember, their earnings are now done. They disappointed with no new content deals, in my opinion, and they disappointed with no new specials coming out. They didn't get the UFC. They didn't get the split. And yeah, the shows, in my opinion, have been running a little weak there. So they need something, you know, like Squid Game 2 was supposed to turn the needle. I'm not sure if it did. They did have record everything. So the way I look at something here about Netflix is if you're going to have record subs, beat on the top and the bottom line, beat on your guide as well, right? They beat on the guide, which you haven't seen forever. Well, they don't know if they're going to beat on the guide, but they guided higher than where the street was. So all of that combined, and we're flat on the day. So to me, if there was one little lever that gets turned here that turns out to be a little negative, then yeah, it's a problem. You know, so I don't know. Like if WrestleMania didn't hit as well as it should have, I don't know. You know, then I could see Netflix turning around a little bit, coming off some of those numbers. And remember, baseball is not going to move the needle for anybody. I don't know if there's any fights coming up on Netflix soon. Like, I don't know if Jake Paul's doing another one over there or not. I know he's fighting some guy named Chavez or something. And then I don't even know if that's on Netflix. I don't know if that Jake Paul versus, what's his brother's name again? Logan Paul, I was just talking about WWE.
That's not happening.
I don't know. So I'm just saying, like, what is the next lever there? I mean, football is the big one, and that's not coming till the fall. So I don't know. For me, Netflix is going to have to be a wait-and-see situation.
I feel like,
so I'm going to wait and see.
On the Paul guy, like, I feel like they would not fight each other unless it was just they'd exhausted all other opportunities.
Well, I don't know. When I saw that come through,
there was a rumor like a month ago.
Midday show. Yeah, I don't know.
It was just a rumor that
I was like, why would they fight each other?
I think I would only think that they would resort to fighting each other if, like, for some reason, like, their opportunities dried up, and then there was just too big of a thing. Because they can still get money for fighting, like, anyone, like, once or twice a year, fighting anyone that they want. Mm-hmm. Why would they resort to fighting each other? That feels like it's at the end of the line, and you're just getting that last massive check, which I don't think they're at that point. Yeah. That said,
I mean, even people in the chat, they're canceling Netflix.
Netflix could use something like that, I think, again.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think it's getting a little bit dried up there as far as the streaming is concerned. But you know what? I mean, you know, I still think it's an essential part of our household, it seems like these days. So I'll keep Netflix around for now. Disney Plus is the one that I probably won't get rid of, but the one that I want to. I'm already in Palantir, so we will see that third right now. Tesla Model Y. Why are you going down then?
Yeah, because they don't have.
All right, we're going down here, guys. Down about 7 and a fifth here on the session. But what did we notice? So we can see that we spotted about 509 uncommon options trades for Tesla. So what are the whales telling us exactly here, guys? So this can tell us about 42% are bullish and 44% are bearish, but you can see the difference in the value of these contracts here, guys. So 44 million compared to about 14 million here, down about 7%, down over 7% here, guys. Tesla not looking too good.
No, and we were saying this morning is like Tesla doesn't have the benefit. They don't have the benefit of having been strong before all the tariff stuff. You know, like, they were the one that were already in trouble for other reasons, valuation, attention for Elon the wrong way, and unfortunately just getting that whole beat up. They were just getting beat up for other reasons, and the continuation is here. I think we see a 1 and an 8 this quarter. I don't know what the earnings are going to be. Let's be real. But I find it hard to believe unless we get something dramatically positive storyline from them. I don't think you're going to see numbers that can get them to really break this trend. I think you need like a storyline. You're delaying the why. We haven't seen what we want from the automated driving standpoint. We haven't seen what we want from a cheaper model. It's just a lot that I think everyone is waiting for Tesla, and you just got to get some sort of a big positive headline or a timeline on one of these major projects. I think before you've caught a bit of a low, we could easily see the bottom, this local bottom from 217 before we get to earnings tomorrow. You know, I didn't think that we'd see it today when we were short, so I'll be like kind of dead wrong and thought we'd have a little bit more of an. Maybe it was a trap, the type of day that we had yesterday. I was talking about on Thursday, where you broke down and then you just went like barcode inside kind of day. It ended up not being that kind of a day at all for Tesla until it had already dropped 5 points, and then it did the barcode. So I think you want to short pops at least into 226 if we can even get that. And yeah, if it's a bad print, I don't think it's ridiculous that we see 180 in Tesla. Well, we're at the end of the month now, so sometime next month.
So yeah, good talk there about Tesla. I mean, their report is tomorrow, so for me it'll be a wascally wabbit steak. Was delicious last night.
Yes.
Yeah, no, he didn't have that. Just kidding. Obviously, he didn't have rabbit steak because it was Easter.
Well,
yeah, there it is. My UNH calls and HTZ puts still not moving. Not JK. Yeah, you're right about that. Well, we'll talk about. Do we have UNH on there? No, we don't. So yeah, UNH. Neil and I were actually looking at this during the midday, and I thought UNH was actually up today because I thought someone in the chat had posted that, but I guess maybe it was you, David, and maybe it was a JK with that as well. I would not. I already said this. It has to be 3 days after earnings before you want to look at it, right? And so for me, on UNH right here, it is a 3-day situation, and this is just day 2. So huge move down there on Thursday. Now there's today, and you're just going to have to go out to a weekly chart on this. And we've sort of done this before, and I did it. I think I must have done it with Brian Shannon, or maybe I did it with Tileman over there. Hold on, let me just go over here to go to a weekly chart because that's still Palantir, my bad. Palantir's still looking nice, but right now we're in 70 cents in the money on Palantir. I'm actually going to take a piece out right here. Okay, so when you're looking at the weekly chart, you're coming right into these levels that go all the way back to 21 right now on UNH. So I think we're getting close to getting an answer here of how bad this really wants to get. I feel like you are looking for a 400 into 380 in and around this area. I feel like that's maybe where UNH wants to settle. You get one more flush tomorrow and you're in that area, and that would coincide with the 3-day rule. So I don't know how far outdated, David, I guess you have calls. Your calls are, but maybe, I don't know if you can get out of them or not, or buy a little bit more time, because I think UNH is coming up to some levels there in and around that 380, 390. So you get another 5% down move from today. 10% is $42, which puts you there. So half of that puts you right near that 400 mark. And I think, you'll be getting an answer on that. And I don't want to take up too much more time because Hertz, we will talk about it, and you know that, David. So again, same kind of thing there where unfortunately Ackman and everybody else getting rich off of you, right? So when they release that they have a 19 or whatever % stake, yeah, that's a nice story. I wonder what he has now after he uses some of that exit liquidity up there. So I would rather just wait for all of that to settle down. But yeah, Hertz could still be a good play. I mean, even if he's still in, I'm just talking about possibilities could have sold into you guys buying, but could also still be in. And then in that case, there's more upside here on Hertz, Neil.
Yeah, and that analysis brought to you by Forex Vin. Because if you want to see how Forex robots perform without risking real money, well, test Forex VIM risk-free in demo mode. Forex VIM is an auto-trading robot that analyzes trends and executes trades for you. But before you use it live, test it first in the demo mode. This free backtesting demo lets you see how it works with historical data, adjust your settings without real money risk, decide if it fits your strategy before going live. It's perfect for beginners or pros who want data-backed results. So try free backtesting in demo mode now. Link is in the description box. Shout out to Forex VIM. Shout out to Mr. Karp as we go to the desk.
Guys, time for some Palantir talk. Co-founder of Palantir here, inking another government contract, a $30 million contract here to work with ICE. This is contract reviewed by 404 Media, details a prototype of Immigration OS, a software suite created to streamline ICE's case management system. So there you go, Palantir locking in another solid contract there, guys.
Look, I mean, all this talk about Palantir is all nice and everything, but it doesn't matter. And the reason why I mean that, thanks for the story, Joe, but the market is not sort of digesting these things properly. It's has nothing to really do with contracts now or military spending or anything like that. if the Nasdaq's going to be down 4% or 3.5% like it is right now, then so will Palantir. We thought we had caught something early with Palantir with some of these longs, but we've given it back trying to go long as the market continues to fall down. So Ramin, if we just go over here, I'll show everybody all these tons of outs and tons of ins here. I think it was pretty good to do in the beginning, right, where we had the 200 period sort of helping us out. Once we broke below the 200 period and we started trending below the 50 period moving average, which if I take down, hold on a second, let me just take down all of these fills just to show you. So I am long right now. We're in the money 70 cents. It's pretty good right now. But if you just look at this without all of my executions, you know, when you're looking at this stock, I feel like this was a good buy. And I'm just looking at it from pretending I didn't trade this. So the right thing to do would have been buy there, and we did do that. Once it broke the 200, we should have been out. And if I still hold on to it, remember, so when it dipped down into there, we did mean to get out there. We had a small amount left. Unfortunately, my stop didn't trigger at that level, which I wish it would have. I just had the wrong amount of shares typed in there. And then when it came back into that, the next thing you know, it was at the pre-market low. So I feel like that was a good buy. And this was a good buy right back to the 200 period. But everything else where we tried to catch the longs, and we're in a long right now off of here, which we've been getting out of, those have been bad. Even if this stock goes all the way back up and we say, okay, we got the bottom, that's great. But you know what? Over trading there, trying to catch all of these bottoms, and there just wasn't one in there. Like I thought, okay, if the market does come back, then yeah, we did want to trade some Palantir. The damage wasn't huge. I mean, in, average in, out, take the log. This was a real quick one because we wanted to get out for 15 cents here. That was a long against 50. The minute 50 broke, we got out. The minute 50 was hungry, 58. And then all of a sudden, you know, we finally said, okay, maybe we had found a bottom there. And that was at 89.30. So then I said, all right, this is worth some serious shares. So we did it again. And this time pay dirt on that. But, you know, it's just looking at it. And again, the stories are one thing. There's going to be more stories about Palantir tomorrow and the next day and the next day and all that kind of stuff. At the end of the day, I still feel like you got to be responsible and watch out. That's the good long. That's where we should be out. I don't mind these longs because those are against that low. It gave us a nice out. That's 91.50 to 92.50. It's what, gave me $1.50. I'm not happy with it. And then should not have bought there. Really should not be buying. Really should definitely not be buying here. And should not be buying here. So it's definitely a little bit of a wow. Is MLGO on this list? No, it is not. Like MLGO just continues to MLG go because that's not a good one. ML Go.
Yeah, MLG Go works for me. I'm not on the joke drum page.
No, I don't even have that on. I don't even have that. I'm not going to hit it for myself. But anyways, there it goes, man. MLGO. All right, I know. Well, let's just move on. Neil, you're going to talk about NVIDIA. So let's go back over to Joe because that's enough Palantir talk. We're getting a little late in the tooth here, long in the tooth. So let's go talk about NVIDIA. Then Neil and I have IBIT and Intel and Mara and all the fun stuff still to talk about.
Surprised Bitcoin didn't make the list. Uber.
Lots of stuff to talk about today, guys, but we got some good names to still talk about. We got Uber to talk about. Let's get into NVDA first here. So shares are trading lower, guys. We're down now more than 6% on the session with reports that Huawei announced its preparation for shipping its new 910C AI chip to customers in China as soon as next month. This chip achieves performance on par with NVIDIA's H100 chip. So this also comes following the news that Donald Trump's administration introduced licensing requirements for the sale of NVIDIA's H20 chips in China. So there you go, down another 6% on the day, guys.
Yeah, not good. And like we said this in the morning, I just don't see how you want to incentivize the competition to catch up in any form. Like it's just better. It's better if you have NVIDIA selling slower chips to China as opposed to like forcing their hand. Like, oh my god, the necessity is like the mother of all invention. Like that's an old saying. I didn't make that up. And I think that's what you're empowering Huawei to do this. Ultimately, it's just bad for NVIDIA today. I thought maybe we'd get on a press to 100. It just never happened. Ended up in an Intel short, which is at, I'll kill two birds with one stone here. Whoops. Oh, and then I just minimized my Intel chart to see if I can quickly find it. Kill two birds with one stone. It's coming right into VWAP. There it is. I'm looking to add to this in front of VWAP. If it breaks out, I don't put the stop exactly at the volume weighted average price, but if it breaks out by a few shekels, and I'll get out of it as that one is also going down. But it is, No, it's an NVIDIA day. Like on a day where, like if Intel is down a third of what NVIDIA is, you know it's a bad day for NVIDIA. That just speaks volumes. It wouldn't be surprised, this is not a split adjusted chart, but it wouldn't be surprised if before earnings we're testing the actual April low and without good news somewhere in this US-China front, then you break that low. The trend has been down. I think the entire chip space has been weak. Go pull up any chip name right now today. If you find some relative strength, you put it in the chat and let me know, because I haven't been able to find anybody that looks any good here today. And it all started with NVIDIA, and you're just able to join things because of them.
Yeah, look, NVIDIA, I mean, for me, the best trade today, my number one P&L name, obviously, I mean, I better not be down or anything on this stock by the time this day's over with, or I'd be mad at myself if I got back into here and blew all this. So we shorted 99s. We actually shorted 99.20s. It was right off the jump, and then it was boom. Goes to dynamite. And then we did get stopped out at that point when it broke the 50-period moving average. That's where it was at that time, and we talked about that. It stayed above it for a little bit, and now we're still above the 50-period, but looking lower. This is, again, giving you a great bottom there. We looked at this last week at 95. When it was basing at 100 and wound up giving you a great long off of those levels as well. So 95 looks to me like a decent opportunity that if you're going to step into NVIDIA, you might as well do it and then just get out if it breaks 95. So if you're looking at, and this is what I talked about, and you can see me trying to do with Palantir, this is the problem with the afternoon. You know, this market could either climb back, like it's not going to stay here the rest of the afternoon. It's too big of a move. This is going to go down 5% or like only be down 2%. So you're going to have to sort of plant your flag. Do you think that this market, and if it's going to go sideways, then I advise not trading, if that's your opinion.
Or MLGO.
Or, right, yeah, exactly. Or MLGO or Bull, or, Bull, which Webull. We haven't even looked at that, or like Fat Pipe, or gold, or even crypto. But at the end of the day, let's see if NVIDIA goes. It's a strong name. It's a name that I like short for now. But if the market goes, I know NVIDIA will go. I'm just choosing Palantir as my vehicle for the rebound here in the futures. The futures might be the best vehicle for the futures, to be honest with you. 1720 right there, the 50-period moving average, 17,720. That could be your stop right here. It's at 17,775. If you want to give this 50 handles worth of space on the futures, I think you can easily, that's 100 handles right there, and I think that's your next area. So I like the risk to reward right now and going long on some of these names. NVIDIA down 6%. At some point, they're going to get bought up, but I mean, that's a great point. The competition, that's exactly what I wrote. Like, why are we even talking about this? If China's now going to start to buy these chips from Huawei, then it's game over, NVIDIA. You might as well forget about it, honestly, because they're not coming back. Once they build and they realize they can build on other products, I don't think they're coming back. And the margins are going to shrink, and the demand's going to shrink, and the minute that Alibaba or whoever the heck is buying these new chips, once the story gets out there, we already saw that DeepSeek flush that brought this thing down. You're getting another one sort of in real time right now. So I would say we are pretty to
that point,
pretty worried about that. Yeah.
Baba's just went green.
Yeah, I mean, some of these Chinese names are hot fired today.
Like Baba's been, I mean, it hasn't been great for them, but they're actually up on the day today. So you got to look for strength somewhere. Webull is not having a good day. I did double check to see if it was running. Like maybe there would be something there. Webull, kind of taking it on the chin like everything else.
Okay.
Core Weave. It sucks to see Uber, which had been performing so well, be on the list of things that caught some bad news here, Joe.
All right, guys, Uber, another one, down about 4 1/3 here on the session. Guys, FTC going after another big name, takes action against Uber for deceptive billing and cancellation practices. Down ugly, like the tech-heavy NASDAQ, guys, 4 1/3 Uber.
Yeah, I got to read up on this on the train. What they're alleging.
They did, like, people, I guess, weren't able to cancel their Uber One, or they automatically got rolled in. I mean, come on.
Well, you have to keep in mind, like, there's different buckets of things. Like, so like when we pull up, let's say Netflix, right? Like you saw Netflix was in the bucket of stocks that didn't just bounce off the lows from like the April lows, but we held like the 50 period, you're back up, looking a little bit strong, like consolidative up at tops. Uber was firmly in that position before today. Obviously, a lot of things can happen when you fail this hot. It was probably already heading a little bit to the downside, but this really gave it some juice, down 4 points. So let's see where the dust settles here. Because if you blindly just bought today at the 200 period moving average for the day trade, you got your bounce. Like it bounced off the 200 period, and you're already seeing that move. So sometimes the first look, Intel just broke through VWAP. Okay, here, I'll show you guys.
Okay.
Intel's trying to go. It goes through VWAP, so I'm out of it once it busted through VWAP, a couple cents through. But that's trying to get going. Actually, NVIDIA is starting to bounce a bit. Tesla's trying to bounce. But I think Uber already bounced off that 200 SMA. So close there is a good sign for me. I'd have to see what's going on more specifically for that report for Uber. But sometimes it's so clean, and you wonder, like, why is that the bottom? When in doubt, zoom out. The buyers waited until we got to the next major support level on Uber. Looks like it wants to close above that 71. Always a chance we get a retest for long this afternoon. I like Uber. I haven't sold any Uber shares since they were added to the index. And I don't know that I would on this story, unless it's somehow like way worse than I think.
Yeah, I don't know. Some people in the chat saying the same thing about their Uber One. I mean, I had Uber One for a while, and then I canceled it, and it was literally, I just did not hit renew on the app. Like, it was not, for me, there was no problems. But again, I don't know. It was linked to my PayPal or something. I don't know. But it was pretty easy to cancel. I didn't really have to do anything. So anyway, there goes Palantir. Nice move now. 70 cents in the money. It's starting to go higher. Yeah, my positions, Uber long is around that 65, 66, 67 mark. And it's been good. So we'll wind up holding that. I do worry about the robo-taxi situation. So that's going to be something. We're going to hear from Elon tomorrow to see if there's anything regarding that, I would assume, after the earnings and during the earnings call. If anybody asks him, I'm sure there'll be some sort of a mark there about robo-taxi when that's coming through. And then I hope there's even a talk about Uber and all that, because unless this is an app that gets basically run by itself, and we talked about that, maybe it's going to be a competitor to Uber. But I do think that Uber as well, there's a place for them in that world, including signing up through Uber to hail these robo-taxis, whether or not Tesla does that on their own app. It's a native situation, whether or not Uber's and some of the drivers are allowed to use the robo-taxis on the Uber network, or is it just a car that you can go into Tesla and buy, and then all of a sudden, look, I'm an Uber driver that drives one of these Model 2s or whatever they are going to be. So yeah, I think there's a lot there. And I mean, when I was in London, I was impressed with the Uber situation there, and I was just impressed overall. I mean, we call Ubers and they come pretty quickly around here. And so, I like the service, and I think it's a winner. I canceled it because we had really stopped ordering from it, and I don't take enough of the cars around to save that 5%.
You save money. So,
it saves money.
I told you the story that I had with my credit card, where my wife had signed up for, I didn't realize.
Oh, that's
she had signed us up for Uber One, and so like I like to check my card, even big or small. If I see it and I don't know what it is, right, I'm like in freak out mode. And my first thought was, hey man, I got a bad charge on here. What's going on? And thankfully, I didn't cancel my card or anything. It was just, we got Uber One, and she's like, we've saved so much money, and I was like, we're actually doing pretty well. So we still order enough from Uber that so I can't tell you about this cancellation thing because I haven't tried. But you never want that kind of a story hanging on you in this type of an environment. Let's put it this way: you don't need anything extra negative when we're in this type of environment. By the way, MLGO now through 16 and still screaming higher. It's unabated to everything. And if you go to the daily chart, there's maybe an 18, 19 level in here to respect, but this is really flying. Adara?
Keep an eye here on Shopify. This story is it's pretty old. It's from about 20 hours ago. Then it was recirculated about 7 hours ago. But now recirculating once again, SHOP reportedly, or at least there's some rumors here that OpenAI is building a shopping feature powered by SHOP. So again, it's purely speculation at this point, but SHOP, once again here, we're seeing the rumor mill get active here on X, suggesting that the company could be powering OpenAI's potential shopping feature. Back to you.
And so that's nice. I mean, Shopify, again, will do this because why not? We don't do enough of this around here. Big Canadian company there, Shopify. So let's go over and have a quick little look to see.
Kind of hoping it looked better.
From New York to NASDAQ. It just happened not too long ago. There on Shopify. It actually happened, I guess, at the beginning of the month right there. Yeah, April 1st. It looks like it was not an April Fool's joke. Our charts, unfortunately, won't take that cut over. So that's really disappointing. But anyway, Shopify with a nice move up, still down that 3%. You know, it's similar to Block or things like that with that kind of an option, you know, to pay at your point of sale. And now you can hear the story there with Adara. I think that's something interesting to see if Shopify can get an OpenAI deal or whatever. You know, we talked about TikTok being still open for sale. You know, Shopify, we talked about TikTok, you know, Amazon looking to buy them or somebody where, because there's that TikTok store. So I just think there's still like a lot of story out there for some of these companies that you know, can grab new contracts. And not to say that TikTok and Shopify are going to get wrapped up in anything, but that there could be something there with that. So a good little story there for Shopify. And we'll see if that bottom does wind up holding $80. I mean, maybe could be something. I know you just got
on the monthly
out quickly on Intel. Yeah, what does it look like on the monthly?
All I was going to say, whoops, let me go to my monthly.
Baby.
All I was going to say for the monthly on Shop is maybe we have a decent chance to put in a bit of a bottoming tail and hold on to that 80 level. Like, it looks pretty constructive off there. But then I double checked and Shop's still trading above 50 PE. So there's also that side of things. Like, that almost, if you just, okay, so nothing happens in earnings and everything is exactly the same, that gets down into like the 30-40 range and obviously do some math, and that's going to be pretty reasonable. So like, it's just another name that, man, it could really fall a lot more. I haven't done anything with this stock in a very, very long time. That was some really good acceleration on Intel when it broke out through VWAP there. Like a big time volume. Well, the volume's kind of hard to see, but there was a decent sized volume candle. I shouldn't call that like a big time volume candle. It was one of the bigger ones, but it's not a huge amount of volume in general. Like, look at almost all the charts you're gonna look at kind of look like this. So much more volume on Thursday going into the long weekend than we have coming out of it. So just keep that in mind when you're looking at these plays. But that continuation through VWAP always makes me think, hey, should we be playing the reverse and buying the dip off VWAP? So as we pull back in, it's like $18.50. If I see some buyers step in, there was a big order that I thought was a spoofer at $18.50. We'll see if it actually is, and that just means when it gets there, will they actually stay on the bid? And if they do, and the buying comes in off VWAP, I think it should have been maybe a reverse on this, because acceleration did happen. Volume, not nearly what you'd want to see, but nothing is trading with high volume unless you're MLGO right now. I am still an IBIT, by the way, but I'm actually looking for a reload in Bitcoin, which has been holding adjacent to 87,000 is the best way to put it. Like, right now we're underneath it. You're seeing it gets to 87,000 and pulls back. Essentially, hold a dip buy in, and I was long at VWAP and lost, and I was long at the pre-market low, then lost. Then we waited for the level that we wrote down on our note today, which was 49. And then played like a reversion play into here, held on to the last like 5%, which I'm still in. But I want to see us hold. If we can hold the top end or the bottom end of this range, like that pre-market low in a 49.25, and then maybe take this little wedge that you see here, we'll go from that low, like kind of look at like this, see that? And kind of break this wedge to the upside, I think you can add into VWAP. So that's what I'm watching, that. Maybe see if Intel can hold the 18.5 level. And of course, MLGO, Dan McIsaac saying MLGO has options. More power to that. I don't know too much about microalgo. I do know that everyone's been hunting for a story that we can't find. That's what I know about it. Outside of that, the daily chart would seem to think there's a little bit of room if it continues to break out, like 18.5, maybe $19.
Yeah, I was just going to say we're out a little bit Mara, because this has been the high there for Mara as we reloaded this down there at 12.20. We had a good trade early on this name as we had bought that dip and got out. So we had the low and the high there of the open market in the first half of the day, and then now it looks like we may have close to the low there, but we are still starting a barcode at that 87,000. So I know Neil just touched on that. No, I wanted to. You did talk about microalgo, but I was gonna also do that. So I just want to show everybody, because I'm gonna try to do this here. This is what we're saying: unconfirmed reports in 11 days for earnings. So that would be Friday, May 2nd, before market open. So that's interesting that it's before market open. And then I just want to highlight, we don't necessarily need to zoom into this, Andre, or anything, but right there is 43%. No, that's okay, Andre, don't worry about it. 43%, I'm not going to be on it for too long, 43% short float. So that's, you know, if there is a story here, to me it would be that. But we've seen other stocks with high short floats that haven't done this, so it needs to get going, right? I mean, that's what started. We started and watched that early, and I just wonder, you know, it's not a fat pipe or anything like that that doesn't have the history of trading. MLGO, microalgo, does have a history of trading and does have a history of halting, and we do know that traders have this on their radar. There's been a lot of traders that must have made a lot of money with this, and they go back to it when it's trading like this again. So just to talk about where this could go, you came right into here, like, to think that this is up 130% is just where it was 5 days ago. That just shows you that on average, that means we went down. Like we gave back 130% basically in 5 days anyway. So the movement that this stock has had on it is quite large. Like this is April the 11th, we were right here. We were at $16 on April the 11th. And then all of a sudden on April the 16th, we were half of that down to 7 and change. So, you know, the volatility in this name is huge. So not a surprise. Like, I guess it's been multiple splits. There's a reverse split. There's a reverse split. You can have a reverse split. So I'm assuming that these are all reverse splits. I mean, they might, maybe they're not. There was here, somebody else is doing an offering. Alpha, Papa, Victor, APVO. Hold on a second. Let's have a quick check. I was just going to look. There looks like there was back in December a split for sure, according to eSignal. So I might be wrong on the multiple splits all those times. But the idea is that, you know, people make a lot of money or think they do, then it's back, and then it's up, and then it's back, then it's up, then it's back, then it's up, and then it's back, and it's up. So anyways, nice little roller coaster there. That was APVO. Yeah, so let's just see if we did have...
Aptivo?
Yeah, Aptivo here. Aptivo Therapeutics announces a 2 million registered direct offering priced at the market. So see ya down there, down to 90 cents right now on that. So, you know, they're looking for money, $2 million worth, and it's going to cost all the shareholders that are currently in this because it's down to 90 cents right now. So we'll see on, again, halted, not news pending. This will be a limit down halt as it's moved more than that 10% there in a matter of 2 minutes or whatever.
I believe they are another one of those like reverse split dump type of names. We saw that with Holo today. Micro Cloud was it? Micro Cloud Hologram. I think that's right. Reverse split, flush, squeeze, flush, reverse split, day one to the downside. So just always be careful with these. I actually caught a little bit of a bid, so there's maybe something brewing in here. Sometimes you get like one good squeeze play on a reverse split where it just doesn't really fall, kind of breaks out that high and then tries to go. I feel like this one might not have that kind of juice. There's just not a lot of activity with it. But micro algo, that's actually pulling back a little bit here. But every single time I look back at that $10 trade off the halt price, I didn't have a plan of action that didn't involve getting out underneath the halt price. So it is what it is. It does seem like this is in the midst of a pullback, but every single time this has done a reversal candle, if you've just waited it out, like let it drift down for a little bit and then try to catch it when it's breaking out the local high. Sometimes really no clean entry. Other times like it's giving you a little bit of a pause and then a curl. So micro algo on a pullback is worth watching. Still looking to see if Intel can now hold. I mean, above the volume weighted average price for a chip stock today? Like who's doing that? Nobody, probably. So it's holding on that 1850. Yeah, this was looking like a pretty good reversal chance here for Intel. Even with the market starting to pull back, this is holding above VWAP. You're not seeing that today. Let's go to Adara.
NASDAQ on watch here. It's still near day's lows, though, I guess slightly making some higher lows. We have Bloomberg reporting that apparently the Prime Minister of Japan will not be conceding to all of the United States demands in its trade talks, just citing apparently the need to protect its national interest. This is just recirculating. This is an older story, but it is worth noting here. There's been a couple different things being said today about Japan, specifically with regards to its negotiations with the U.S. We know that apparently some of these trade talks are going to take a little bit longer than expected. This was reported by frequent Fox Business contributor Charles Gasparino. Apparently, the reason for these negotiations taking a little bit longer has to do with the fact that the U.S. is being viewed as not super concrete with what it actually wants out of the negotiations. So NASDAQ dropping a little bit, this recirculating. Worth noting here, it looks like Japan is unlikely to cede or concede to everything the U.S. is wanting here with regards to these trade negotiations. Back to you.
Yo. Yeah, what's up? Love to trade. I think you've tagged me a couple times there in the chat, and thank you, everyone. Make sure you get into the chat, like, subscribe. You cannot get in the chat until you, subscribe to the channel. And it's for free. Just got to hit that little the bell to get that subscription. Here it is right here. Love to trade 2009. Yeah, good year. Any plans, battling back from 2008. Any plans to short Intel at these levels? Yes, but we need to get a little bit higher. I was looking at right here. Here's the 200 period on the 5-minute chart. It's been a good little top there. It was a top again. So we get anywhere near. So the thing about this is I'm going to short 1875, and I'm only going to give this 5 or 6 cents, because it's stronger than the market right now and not making too much sense why we're going to the upside. I mean, we're happy having the market go to the upside. And if it wants to continue to scream, then I'm already long Mara, which is Bitcoin, and I'm long it's not Bitcoin, and I'm long Palantir, which is the NASDAQ. So
effectively,
if that continues to climb, I'll take a shot there, but it won't be for very long. So if it does come upside, let's see if we can get basically Intel back to pretty close to flat, and then we'll be able to potentially short it off that level. And the flat on the day is 1895. That looks like where we went out on Thursday. So that's where it needs to go to get green. And I don't want to hold it against the fact that it could do that. So Intel could do that. We'll short it if it gets up there. So thanks for asking. That's what I'm trying to do. As far as NVIDIA or any of these other plays go, no, I'm not. Like I said, I think the 95 I think the long is just better risk to reward. APVO is now back open. So it went down to 90, it halted. Opens back up here, 90 again. I would say we'll probably continue to fall. I mean, if it's reverse split before, it's done these things kind of before, or maybe it even hasn't, but oh yeah, there it is. There's a reverse split for sure. I don't have to look this up. From 20, so this stock was already beat up so badly numerous times that it was already, if I look at this at eSignal, I wonder where this looks like on eSignal, because they will appropriately, wow, okay.
Yuckity
So
yuck.
even this was $600 back, a year and a bit from now. Now it's down to 80 cents. So it's just, with all of the splits and everything considered, APVO is just a trade if anybody's in it. Do not get caught holding the bag on this. We talked about Newsmax. We've talked about all these names before. It opened at 90, and the right thing would have been to just short it. If it opened at 90, it's now at 79. It's going lower. That's already 15% in your pocket there. You take 13 cents on 90 cents. So it's already huge.
What did you see the all-time high at?
Oh, no, not all-time high.
Okay.
I just didn't want to zoom back. It was back a year. It was $600.
I see 180,000.
Yeah. So yeah. I mean, speechless. But that's what happens. I mean, we can look at Mullen. We can look at all of that. When a stock reverse splits, it's there for a trade. It's not there for an investment. No. So that's the one thing that we have to do. The Canadian election is a week.
I actually can't think of one that was ever.
Thomas Rowe.
I can't think of a time where you were looking at a reverse split and you were like, oh, this is a stock that you would actually want to hold for a long period of time. We don't have locates on this. And I double checked, because when it broke the low, you can hit the offer and it will reject for you. So I did. I don't know that it's too far down, I think, to chase it, because usually with an offering, you catch a bid somewhere. That's generally my 2 cents. It tends to level off somewhere on APVO. I meant to go back over to Bitcoin, as you were just mentioning there. There we go. On the daily chart, Bitcoin is also at that 50 period. Whether or not that matters to you when you're looking at crypto, I tend to think it does a little bit. It's going a little bit sideways, but that wedge pattern is starting to break lower. There's the issue, that higher low, it's starting to break that wedge pattern. So I think if we lose this 49 quarter, we'll have a stop in there. Double check. Yeah, I do. If we lose that 49 quarter, I want to jump out. The idea was supposed to be that you break this wedge to the upside, and then we add to the long and tighten up the stop. It's seeming like it's going to be the other way, and we're just going to be heading down, unfortunately. Tesla was just trying to get to VWAP as well, and all of a sudden we're headed right back the low of the day. So if you're looking to fade things at the volume-weighted average price, there's not much that's getting to it that's holding underneath. NVIDIA right back at the low of the day, Tesla right back at the low of the day, unfortunately here. I saw a few people asking about that MLGO again. I mean, it pulled back into 15, but it's so far from the volume-weighted average price, I almost think I'd want it to drop even further before looking at some kind of a long. just a little bit early. It's almost power hour now. We only have about 10 minutes to go. But I wouldn't, it's what, $3 away from the volume weighted average price, which is a lot. Like that's a 20% move. So I'd like to see it maybe fall even further before trying to get involved in micro algos alongside.
Okay, so I did want to address something here because I'm about to trade Palantir more. So I think that was a good question. I want to thank you in the chat. I resorted my trade list, so it was all messed up because I was trying to find out how much of this I had left. So there's a question right here. How much? There it is. Thank you, Time to Dream. How much of Palantir are you still holding? So I just looked. We're holding about a third of Palantir right now still. So it's too many shares, to be honest with you. But we were thinking that the NASDAQ had a chance to at least try to rally, and it came right back in since we've had this trade right back into basically the low of the day again. So with that being said, I'm buying more Palantir right now at 89.50. I know it seems a little silly, but if we do get that bounce, and remember what we said that I didn't think the market was going to sit here? Well, it was down 3.4 when that was happening. Now we're down 3.6, so it's kind of moving, but in the wrong direction. I'm going to try it. I'm going to try to buy it off that low. So 89.25, or my stop's already in, sorry, 89.29. You know what? I'm going to just punch in there and cancel some of what I had at 50 because just in case we don't get down to 50, which I'm pretty sure we will, we'll buy some more down here at 50s if it does come through. I just want to buy some 54s in case we miss it. But here it comes right back in. So there it is. So we get to 50. So remember, my stop is now at 89.30. So this is a great average price. I mean, a 20-cent hit on Palantir, no problem. You know, almost no matter what share size, well, the share size is going to matter, but, you know, we're not using anything too irresponsible. So we're just going to wait to see if this can print. 20-cent downside gets us the low of the day, and then we break that. Obviously, the market goes lower and lower and lower. We did good to battle back. We took, you know, many more trades than 20 cents there. We'll assess what our situation is after this, but right now, we're long Palantir at this current level against the low of the day and looking for a market rebound into tomorrow.
Well, if you're looking for good longs and good shorts, why not think about doing it in the betting world with ProfitX? Because if you want top tier odds and total control of your action, well, ProfitX is bringing you peer-to-peer picking, an open API process for automation, cost-efficient trading of your plays all in one place. Day trading your favorite sports. You make offers, match plays, and manage risk with diverse prediction options. Don't just place picks, exchange and trade them. That's the key. So ProfitX, the smarter and faster way to play with great odds and great lines as we've compared with them. And all users here can use the code TRADERTV to get the sign-up offer of 2% cash back up to $300 and maybe throw something on, I don't know, the NFL draft is coming up this week. Obviously, that's if you're a big football fan, you're a college football fan, whatever, then you're a fan of this event. Everyone for like one day is like the hopes and dreams that their team is not going to screw up the draft. I think the Bills have done fantastic lately. I really hope that we trade back into the second round, find some sucker team that just wants to take one of the quarterbacks. It's a second round pick and trade up to us. We get some draft capital, get ourselves a corner. Maybe edge rusher as well, that would be nice. But what I love about ProfitX, and we've talked about this before, in addition to the good lines, the ability on single event to bet no. Not just who do I think is this guy going to go in the first round or not? I can go, no, Quinn Ewers is not going in the first round and bet the no side. And if there's no odds, I can request and make my own line. That's the idea. Shedeur Sanders, you don't think he's going to go in the first? Well, nobody wants to take the no. No is like, nobody's on that side of it. But if you think he's going to fall, I was going to say pull an Aaron Rodgers, but he went at the end of the first round, so that wouldn't even count. Then you can go in and request that line. So that's one of the cool things about it. And if you understand trading, you'll understand ProfitX, the bid-ask, hedging, all that kind of thing. It'll make intuitive sense to you. I wanted to point out because someone was asking in the chat what I meant by, like I was talking about a seller, or sorry, not a seller, a buyer on Intel. This is the order that was there at 1850. It's actually larger now. So both on EdgeX and Arca, it's about 30 to 40,000 shares larger than it was before. So I'm long in front. If that guy breaks, I'm out on that 1850 level on Intel. But I saw him on the bid. I'm like, I'm just go long in front of him. Now let's go to Adair.
We have officially posted our new earnings and events calendar for April 22nd, 2025 on X at TTV Research. I post these every single day, usually in and around this 3 p.m. time for the day upcoming. So we have this calendar for tomorrow, and I think I really want to talk about this because we have some huge earnings on watch tomorrow. The biggest by far is going to be TSLA. They're expected to report at 4:10 p.m., so you can check that out tomorrow. This will be on the market recap with myself and Sean. Then we'll also get some earnings in the morning as well, including GE, 3M, Verizon, Lockheed Martin, and RTX. So lots of defense plays, some telecommunications plays, and watch this week as well. Check all of it out here by checking out the show, and also look at all of these infographics, which again, they come out every single day for you guys on X at TTV Research. Back to you.
They're doing it. We did get filled. We talked about Palantir, so we're filled up on that trade. And you talked about, I wanted to quickly look at Polymarket. This is, again, a website where you can go and find different things that were happening. Here we go, a week from today. There it is, man, 76% Liberal government going to happen here in Canada. And I just wanted to see who will be the next Pope.
Oh, I get it. Never mind.
That's where the Pope is from. All right, there was, oh, here we go. All right, forget about this. We already know the Fed. What I was looking for, so here we go. U.S. recession in 2025, 57% chance right now on Polymarket with over 3 million traded on that number. Here we go. This is what I was looking for. Will Trump remove Powell in 2025? 20% chance that there's a yes on that one. Will Trump remove Powell? Right there, 20% chance. So 1 in 5 that does happen. Will there be a U.S.-China trade deal before June? That's a 33. You can go on here and bet any of this. I'll just click on this right now. So yes, 34% chance. So that's
kind of low. Don't you think it's a little?
Well, when is this? By June, April, May, June. Yeah.
Oh, wait a minute. We're in May basically already.
Yeah. So
April's over.
Yeah. So you basically, I don't know when this. Oh, by May 31st. Yeah. So that's when it closes. So you're gonna have 1 month for this. So if you like that, get it in right now. It's better money on that because you get paid the 68. So anyways, as we go, just Polymarket, if you ever wanted to have a quick look at different markets and then go ahead, bet them, create them, and then that's where you can often use ProfitX as well. Go in there, open up an account, and you could start to bet these odds on there and see if any are better or worse. You can even bet what price will Dogecoin hit in April. I mean, I'd rather just buy Dogecoin. But anyways, more and more goes on here. I just like to check it. I've been checking it lately just for the election, just because I'm interested in it. It's on the news.
Is there really an Elon? Oh, you don't have it up anymore?
Well, we can look.
I was going to ask, will Elon leave Doge by?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There's tons of stuff there. So you could just search. Let me. Yeah, good question. Let me have a quick look here. We have lots to do here. All right. So here it is. Elon, number of tweets in April. Okay. Elon, there you go. Out of the Trump administration before July is 50-50. So that's probably your question, right? So yeah. Will Elon be out of the Trump admin by July? It's 50-50. Will Elon have another baby before July?
What? What is he, Tyreek Hill? No, I shouldn't have said.
He has 13 kids right now, but he is, to be one of those 13 would be interesting. That is for sure. But yeah, anyways. Shout out to. No, Tyreek Hill's not even that bad. It's what's his name? Anthony Edwards.
No. What's the guy's the cornerback?
Yeah,
Antonio Cromartie Jr.
Cromartie.
That's the guy.
Tyreek is bad, but it's not that bad. I think it's like 4 kids.
Well,
but
he's bad for different reasons.
Yeah. Well, yeah, Tyreek. Yeah,
that's different. It's
some run-ins with assault.
No, it was Antonio Cromartie because that was.
Yeah, he was the Jets corner.
And then he couldn't even name some of the kids. Look, man. Like, that's.
Wow. I mean, when you have a lot of kids, it is very hard to that's why Elon naming his kids XYZ or whatever it was. I mean, very, very easy to figure out that. No, aren't his names pretty crazy? All right, so 89.60. So our stop is only 20 cents. We just took a little bit out there at 60s. I'm not like, I don't want to get out of anything here, but the NASDAQ, it's like we just bought Palantir at the day's low of the market, trying to get a little bit out there. I literally got out of 5%. I'm getting frustrated here because we should still be short. Like we should just never have gotten out of the short. But for Eva, the thing is that when your levels break and you think the 50 period's breaking, then you just get out. So I'm fine with getting out of it. It's just, it's not trying to find these longs that do not seem right. So, all right, MLGO and APVO. You said APVO is halted again. MLG, or maybe I heard it in my ear. MLGO down to 14 right now. now that we're finally under the 50-period moving average, we've been under there before, and it did create a little bit of a bouncing moment. But the thing about that was we were much closer to the 200 periods when we were under there and VWAP. Now the retracement could get pretty nasty. Would not be surprised if you get back into some of these levels here of $13 again. And we've got, I didn't confirm this, but someone in the chat, I heard you mention it too, that MLGO is option eligible. So if you were going to look at this, Joe, who's not around right this second, there is opportunities to look at walls, put walls, call walls, things like that. We've heard that from Andrew Rader as well. And that might give you an idea of maybe where some of the excitement is here on MLGO. But just looking at a chart, I would say 13. If you break 13 and you want to give it a little bit of room, maybe to 12, but that's, again, for $1, and depending if you're using 100 shares or you have one contract or whatever that works out to be for you, just understand where the risk is. And if you're trading 0-day options or anything like that as we enter the power hours, you can see on the screen there. Thank you to Fabian, and we'll hope that he gets better. But we have Andre running the board and Ramin running around, so that's good. And Ramin's been on the board all day, so we want to thank everybody for that and all of her help as well.
Good point by Dan here.
Yeah, what is the point?
We haven't looked at the chain. We just used it for MLGO options, but premium is wild.
Yeah,
no volume on options there. That's not terribly surprising. Like, we're not going to pretend that we're sitting there staring at it. It does make some sense. Oops, I had Alibaba up because I remembered I did have a resistance level on Alibaba from this morning.
Oh, God, here
with
goes
that move up,
Fine.
that it would have a chance. But MLGO, yeah, with 120% in a single day and this profile, it would make some sense that maybe there wouldn't be that liquid of a market for it. We're getting a little bit of a bounce off the lows here in the market, so we're bouncing off VWAP in here. I'm offering 18, what is that, like 64 next, and then if we can get a pop, look for 1878. Ooh, this missing some data in the morning on this.
Yes, Aura Alpha.
Aura Alpha in the chat.
Yeah,
I love
like, are we going long B? Here, what's up, my guy? There it is. Yes. I mean, I said you could choose the futures as your vehicle, and I was like, maybe the best vehicle to trade the futures is the futures. But we had found Palantir there, and I just thought, and I told you that we were putting on a responsible number for myself, but maybe a little more risk. And part of it is frustration because I didn't trade it that well. Today, it's just the fact that we had that bottom, which was 20 cents worth of risk. So right now, we're in the money 45 damn cents. So, yeah, your boy, what up, B? Aura Alpha. You're my boy, Blue. Yeah, man, we are we're doing some big things over here. So we want to thank everybody and you, Aura B, because we did talk about it. So I hope you had sort of caught the message there, Aura, that it was something that I was looking to do. And thank you so much for asking. And there it goes. Yeah, back to flat. There it is. All right, good job there, Aura Alpha. If you were down on the day on that, great. We're still trying to battle some of these worst ideas that we had for Palantir. And again, like, you know, I kind of come back from the gym and do whatever, and I sit down. If I see something, I try to go for it. But I do have to remember that, you know, sitting down and relaxing amid policy uncertainty. Oh, I just saw a note. Wow. Okay. Boom. This is exactly what we're talking about. Let's go. Hello, traders. This is a big trade. If anybody knows where that's from, hello, ladies. I don't think anybody will. No, maybe someone will. Let me see if anybody's in the chat that knows that. Okay, so here it goes, man. It's a nice move to the upside. There it goes, $90.20, $90.30. There's a spinner right here, baby. So we're doing it. It's another one. And it was a good idea. We also do have Mara here as well. That's right back upside. We should maybe think about getting some out. We had bought down into there, but we're going to go right now on Palantir, take a little bit more out. Yes, sir. Who got that right? You are 100% right. Val Venus. Right there. What's up, Jason Trades? I said, hello, ladies. And that was Val Venus. Yeah, there it is. Val, and Beetlejuice. Yeah, that's funny. But there it goes, man. Yeah, big trade alert for me on that when we make back. Wow. Okay. It doesn't matter what we make back. I said we wouldn't talk about that, but it's a nice move to the upside there on Palantir. Look, I told you we were putting on shares. Told you where the risk was on that, and the fact that it's going up, fine, we'll pat ourselves on the back, but it's just a trade. We'll have a lot of these every single day. It's just when it bases out like that, it's time to put on your big boy pants and go for it. So there it goes. It's Palantir, and honestly, hallelujah, which I really shouldn't say that because unfortunately we did have Pope Francis pass away, and our regards for that family and obviously the religion as a whole, as it's just another one of those things. And fortunately, I feel like many of the parishioners and all that stuff that had followed, he did have a speech, I guess, that he gave, which was nice, his most recent one. And then he spoke to J.D. Vance, and of course that's just going to be a meme. That was the end of that. And now we move on from that, but we just, our thoughts and prayers are with that as they look for a new pope. But what I was going to say about the thing was he'd been battling double pneumonia?
Yeah, like he was...
Or something like that. So obviously a big fight there,
battle.
but I don't know the whole story there, but it looks like it was, I don't know if the pneumonia came back, if he never got rid of it or whatever, but he was able to have that last speech there at St. Peter's Square. So that was nice for everybody. What I read was Rivian stock. So I just read this. It says Rivian stock tumbles 6% amongst policy uncertainty. And then I read Fed concerns. So I just think it's just the same kind of, I thought that Rivian changed a policy of theirs or something, but it's just in the Donald Trump's policies in regards to tariffs and everything like that. So we just hope that, that all gets sorted out. Is that No, that's Mind. I was wondering if that was Mind Med, another stock that I'm getting probably down 98% on that one as well. There it goes, man. Huge move, yes. So we still have more than half. Well, actually, we now have half of this Palantir trade as it goes all the way up. And we did not think that we'd be running into $90 and change here this quickly on it, but it is a nice move up. Look at the futures, man. A straight middle finger right now to the shorts, but it looks more like the pinky finger today because this hand has been slap, 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 slap all the way to the downside. And right now, we'll see if we can take this out. Hey, if we can get up here, we said this is where our target would be on the futures if we did climb back, and it looks like we're getting up there. So a target for Palantir makes a lot of sense for me, up to the 200 period moving average. Planting red roses today with PLTR. Let's go. We definitely like that trade.
Exactly, and I think it's a great one off that bottom. I think we're right now, I saw a lot of names just catch a little bit of I don't want to say a slowdown off the top, but that's the best word for it. I was just checking out Rivian because you mentioned it, but we came right into 225 on Tesla. I just saw, all right, we just came here on, I tried to get IBIT there and didn't pick it up. I just go into black chart quickly. We just broke local resistance on Intel, headed for the 1875. But I think as long as we're filling in this gap, I'm trying to bid it back in front of that buyer at 1850, which I said it was a spoofer. I was wrong. When it got back down there, they were on the bid, which means it wasn't a spoof. They held the bid at 1850, so it was 100% legitimate. There was something I was going to say about Rivian, but I don't know. I forget now. It'll probably come back to me, but it was when you mentioned it, it was something I was going to point out. I was trying to get back into the bottom range of IBIT because it's now held pretty cleanly, this 49.3, just in it from that 49 bottom. I think the higher low is clearly going to be put in here on IBIT. We'll see if we can grab a little more on the next dip. I already have a stop underneath that local bottom for the shares that we have from that 49.15 bounce or whatever. I got 15s first, and then I got like 19s. My price is like 17 there. But we got 15s and we bought 19s. But we still have some of that in. I'm just going to add here, get myself an average price a little bit closer to the 30 range, and then we'll stop out underneath the 49.25. Still looking for a VWAP bounce there for sure. Tom Anthony, what? No. Tom Anthony, you're saying in the chat here, Uber needs 60 to VWAP.
60 what?
Well, I mean, I'm not.
Oh, $60.
No, you can't mean that. $60 is a great level on Uber, but I'm thinking you probably want it to speed up from here to get to VWAP, and maybe that's what you're getting at. I like the bounce on Uber, but it was at the 200 period on the daily, which has already happened at that 71 level. I think if you bought that dip in there, I think it's a hold till VWAP and maybe just slap a trail on it, but it's now closer to the volume weighted average price than it is to that low. And I just mean this. Like it bounced right clean off the 200 period moving average here. I think almost to the penny when I look at that. So that looks pretty good. So yeah, Uber, don't like that story necessarily about the Uber one, but I'm not spooked just yet. I have an open mind with this one. I haven't really done anything with this stock for myself, my personal account, in quite some time. But I don't like, this isn't Rivian, but I'm really not liking SoFi going into these. I feel right now, like if SoFi doesn't clear out this 200 period moving average after its earnings and we're still failing underneath it, I might take another leg out of this stock. Bought it a couple of times in the 7 to 8 range. I'd have to double check exactly what the average price is, but it's always been at the 7-8. And all I will say is I did not sell enough. I think a lot of us can say that for a lot of stocks. I 100% believe that. I believe they report like a week tomorrow. I think it's like the 29th or the 30th or something. So we have like 1 week to go for them, but I'm not liking this bottoming pattern under the 200 period at all, SoFi.
Just for you guys know, like I put this, I don't think there's any better. I said, just walked by our local Italian bakery, which I still need to bring those cannolis in from, at 6:15 in the morning. This was April the 19th. So yeah, that would have been Saturday. So yeah, like I'm up at 6:15 on Saturday because we have more fucking hockey to go to. And damn, there ain't no better smell, man. I was like, I might just wake up early and just walk around that bakery and just take the dog and just do laps because I was like, holy crap. That was amazing. This was her goal, one of her first goals here so you're going to see in a minute here on Friday. So this is her right here.
Shelf.
Like, watch the goalie's reaction right here. Like, what? What happened to my glove, guys?
Just shake your head.
What happened to my glove? Where's the puck? Right there? So anyways, this is just...
I'm over.
Yeah, people... Anyways, I don't even...
Over.
Honestly, she's gonna be a problem, if not already. Right there. I got my own Jake Paul, my own problem child coming through. All right, let's go over. We got some news with A.
No news, but just a reminder, huge earnings this week as we really kick off earnings season. We have a new infographic here on X at TTV Research showing here the annual revenue of T-Mobile, AT&T, and Verizon. All three companies report this week. We've got Verizon tomorrow morning, AT&T Wednesday morning, and T-Mobile after the close on Thursday. So check this out to give yourself a little bit of a primer on X at TTV Research. Back to the guys as we head into the rest of this trading day.
I don't like any of those that much. The providers here, our providers are like Rogers here. Have you seen those stocks? Like
I don't even want to talk about the stock prices. I mean, we saw TELUS. Raheem was here talking about TELUS for a while. You can grab that as well. Here's. Yeah, I mean, we can look at anything. It's RCI is Rogers. So here's Rogers Communication. This is like our AT&T and all that kind of stuff. And, they paid $12 billion for the rights to show NHL in Canada. That was huge. So there's the move to the downside in Rogers. If you're chasing, this is why you never want to chase yield, because a 5% dividend becomes a 10% dividend real quick. So there it is down there to $25 for Rogers Entertainment, the owner of your Blue Jays, Neil. And then you go over here to TELUS right now. And again, another stock where I think at certain points, I'll have to find out what the yield for this is, but TELUS has been getting hit as well. And actually, that was probably a good buy down here around 13 or 14 with probably a 7 or 8% yield. So, you never want to chase that. But telecoms are, generally speaking, wow, there it goes. We are in another dollar right now for Palantir. And we said that, man. This is another one of them trades. Just one of them trades. Don't take it personal, guys. But Palantir right here, there it goes. Nice trade on the out. Like, this is a 20-cent worth of risk. So, yeah, man, these are the trades where, thinking in bets. I've never read that book, never read any books. This is where I'm thinking in bets right here, real time. The bet was 20-cent hitter to put this on. I'll take it. 10 times out of 10, and there it goes. Nice move there to the upside as we continue to climb upside for PLTR. Let's go, man. Do never, ever doubt. Alex Cartman was joking. I just trading the name, right? We talked about where we could go on the futures. Probably trading the futures might have been a little bit of a better call, but hey, I'm super happy to be doing this right now, and we're doing it live. 3:13 right now. If there's any sort of questions you want to ask us, today I've traded Mara. That's Barcoda right now. NVIDIA. and Palantir. And NVIDIA, we haven't done anything since 11 o'clock. It's Palantir has been the sort of the bearer of my trades over the last couple minutes. And there we go. We'll get another piece there at 37.38. But here we go, man. Nice move to the upside right there. Hey, what's up? Love to trade. I'm like MJ in my picks. Okay, I'll take it. I mean, nothing wrong with that. Oh, by the way, just, it's Jordan time. Right now. But what was the other thing there? I just got to trust the GOAT. Yeah, well, there's lots of different situations on the stocks, but I do appreciate, that kind of a talk again. And, I do it because I love it. And, the show is just secondary, for me. But at the end of the day, both Neil and I, we've been trading here for a minute and, we like to put on trades for sure. And we have completely different styles. I don't even know how many symbols Neil's traded today. I feel like it's not that many, but I've only done 3. And everybody out there...
Lighter today.
Yeah, a little lighter today. So, just looking for some opportunities. And Sharif's not here, but, he likes to trade. And I don't need to...
I think he'd have been on MLGO today.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was going to say.
Bet.
Stocks like an MLGO, it'll be tit for tat for some traders. But again, I'm already established. I've already hit my goals. Already, one of the traders here, like I told you, been told even to trade more shares on the names that I've been doing. So it is what it is. We're on a prop floor. Everybody needs to find their little niche there. And I'm, happy to have found mine and very excited to share it all with you guys. So BCE is another one there. Neil and I just stopped. Stopped at
Bell is terrible too.
I don't know how to pick a winner.
But
maybe with Raheem next time we'll ask him.
Yeah, but I mean, all of those, look, the telecom providers, there's nothing good to like about them. If I could have my dad on here. He worked for Nortel. He was at Bell. He worked for Nortel for years, and there's just a heck of a lot of what's the best way to put it? Lack of innovation. It's extremely expensive for when they're going through their upgrade cycle. It's not a good place. And the future is now turning into, everyone's already looking forward to satellite and, space, not SpaceX, Starlink is what I'm looking for. I feel like that's already such a big thing. You have all these cables everywhere underground. They're just maintenance problems for a lot of the big boys. But ultimately, like Sean said, the most important thing is I just do not chase yield. There were opportunities, I think, to buy good dividend stocks where you don't have to get rinsed and be chasing yield. You can buy good, there's always some kind of, I like dividend funds unless you can find something strong. I love an Enbridge because here in Canada it's been a good stock, but I like dividend funds. It's just so much easier. It's like buying ETF. They kick the bad companies out and keep the good ones in. Still want to try see if we can't buy that dip over in IBIT, and then the same story that's happening here over in Intel. Want to buy off of, there's a buyer at 1850, VWAP's at 54, but the buy is out in front of that VWAP buyer for sure. Ozan saying you worked 20 years in a telecom company that starts with N, but not Nortel. On top of my head, I can't think of it. Riri Jordan, Neil, have you ever owned a pair of Jordans? Absolutely not. I never wore Nike unless it was my track spikes growing up. The only pair of Nikes I would ever, not for basketball. I wore the Kamikazes. Sean Kemp was my first basketball shoe when I was in high school. And I was more of an Adidas guy for my basketball shoes. I never wore Nike for anything except track and field. I don't think, to this day, I've ever worn Nike for anything but. Pretty sure. I think about that. But I was always more of an Adidas or Adidas.
Adidas. Yeah.
Two each.
Yeah. I have, maybe I'll wear my Yeezys tomorrow. As well, yeah. I sometimes I have North Face, a whole bunch of different shoes. So yeah, I like collecting them and wearing them, of course. Okay.
Oh, Nextel.
I don't know, maybe. All right, Palantir. So we've been getting out again more and more of that. A name that we haven't really checked out at all today, Tesla. Let's go have a quick look at Tesla. 224. I mean, it's right at this 220 level, down 7%. We did talk a little bit about Rivian. There's 22222, coming into play one more time. So, I mean, yeah. Earnings tomorrow night. You want to dance with the devil, then go ahead and do that. I don't think it's, very wise to get into Tesla, and we're getting a little bit of a bump off of those lows, but if you've been trying to chase the bottom, this is kind of like Palantir. It's nice to celebrate when you have the bid, but the problem is you always think it's going to go higher and then it stops. You're still underneath VWAP. You haven't been at VWAP all day on Tesla. So for me to sit here and say, I think this is a long, the only reason I went long Palantir, and we could have done the same thing right here, was against the low. So this name is nowhere near VWAP, and I'm going to have to check to see where Palantir is. I would assume it's nowhere near VWAP either. So these trades are very alike. So I can't say no to this long when I'm in a similar one. So I like it down there, but now it's 318, and for me, it's getting too late. We've talked about those imbalances coming through again, which is why we start to get out more and more in Palantir. I'd have to check my fill rate on that, but I think it's about 30% left on this PLTR trade. We've just been cashing out a heck of a lot, man, at this 200 period moving average. So more and more outs right there. The most recent stock that I've bought is JP Morgan, and it was around this 232, 231 area where it was the 200 period moving average. Right here where we bought it. Now the 200 period moving average has changed. So I believe the 200 period was somewhere in and around here when we had bought it, or I bought it coming into it. But at the end of the day, we're now underneath it. So not great for JP. Still trying to hold out hope that the banks do have a little bit of oomph in them. The reports weren't that bad. And I just thought that, the move that it made on the way back up for JP Morgan, got this hat at Bramley C Center, by the way. It's a new one. This hat, got it from Champs. Right there, 210 down to the bottom. Nice rebound for JP Morgan. So one of the best of breed names. We know it can get going again. I like JP Morgan there. But if you're going to play let's go Palantir. You mentioned, or it was mentioned about SoFi in the chat. I did want to talk about you mentioned it because the earnings. But Robinhood, if there's going to be a stock that does have the pedigree to bounce back insane amounts where you're like, oh my God, I can't believe it. Now, obviously, if you're trading options, I'm not telling you something that you don't already know. But Robinhood from 36 back to 48 in 2 weeks, then from 48 down to 30 again, then from 30 back to 46 again. This is all within a month. It traveled up and down 70%. Back and forth. So the volatility is great with this one. If you do think that there's something here with Robinhood, then I'm a buyer down here because I do think there's something with Robinhood. Again, get new customers, and that's exactly what they're doing. And there it is, man. It is right back to the dollar for Palantir. So, the net is climbing as we continue to moon here on Palantir, and I say that word just because I'm used to saying it, but it's not really mooning. There it is. We'll take a 55 out. I don't have any more offers. I'm actually going to cancel my Intel because we're getting a little bit long in the tooth here. 1875 was going to be my short for Intel, but now you're barcoding. I don't think I want that short, but that was what we were looking at with the stop out right there. So I'm going to cancel that trade and just watch out for Mara, which isn't doing anything, and then watch out for PLTR.
I should be bouncing. It's not.
No, Mara? No, that's why I'm really... if you scan this, maybe you get one free Bitcoin. But
Bitcoin just broke a range.
Right, so...
And the market's breaking up, too. I'm surprised Mari's not going.
Yeah, same, but I don't know. So, I don't know, Ramin. I thought I heard Adara, but I don't know if I've heard anything in my ear yet, so we're not ready quite yet for that. Okay, yeah, we'll hold off. We'll hold off. All right, so I'm going to put another offer right ahead of 91. That was a little bit of barcode right there. We started getting in trouble when we came back from the gym and was like, we like those lows. And then I just didn't understand that it was too risky at that time to do that. If you're going to think the market's going to battle back, wait for some kind of a bottom to be in, which is why I don't mind here because we're playing off there when that dropped, but should not have taken this against nothing. So I was upset about that one. We got it back. We got it back again. Twice is, to me, when you're reloading it, it's not a fluke. I mean, we get it there. We get it there again, and boom goes the dynamite. Good trading there on Palantir to close out the day. So thank you, Aura Alpha. I'm a stonk lord. I appreciate that. We're just sitting here trading as two average guys, man. Trust me when I tell you that. But at the end of the day, I like to entertain, I like to trade, and I like to put on these for you guys. Now down 3% is the NASDAQ, and we're battling back. The ES still down 3. This is interesting to me. We don't normally They're not normally like attached like this. Sometimes NASDAQ is getting clobbered. It's because it's tech related. Today, the ES also falling. So we're going to have to look at Sector Watch and join Neil and Adara and Michael. Wow, there goes Palantir. Let's go, man. $1.25 in the money on this one. Join Neil, Adara, and Michael Noss during the after show, where they'll be talking obviously about sectors, relative strength and weakness, and then
one in particular.
What was the earning?
It was defense. It was defense.
Yeah, Kratos.
That we'll talk about. Yeah, Kratos. KRO. It was Kairos.
What, I can't remember the symbol, but yeah, that was one there.
We'll talk about that for sure. There's no big earnings tonight. Tomorrow, of course, being Tesla is the big one this week. Well, I mean, Alphabet's pretty big too.
Yep.
I do believe we're going to the desk now with Adara. No? Are you serious?
Hello to the desk with Adara?
Did you hear that? Hold on a second.
What was that, Ramin?
Okay, now I'm like, seriously?
Neil, Neil, you're getting old, man. You're getting old.
You just did it like 5 minutes ago, and I swear I heard it too. But look, the one thing here on IBIT, we are getting into the prior resistance here that I have to respect. The last time we were at 87.3-ish. It's like right now we're at 87.22, but it was right in here at 87,300 that we curled before. If we lose the bid right here, I'm just going to throw the trailing stop in. We didn't end up getting that wedge break on IBIT here. So if we do lose this bid at the same price that we had before, this was right around, I don't know, like 1 o'clock, let's just call it, then we are going to trail out of this one. And if it doesn't get to VWAP, fine. I thought we'd have one chance to maybe dip a little bit lower at that 49. It comes down to, like I don't mind going long when it's holding the range at the top, but if the range top was in here, and then all morning I'm like, it's either VWAP or 49, like I don't mind taking a shot when it consolidates above the volume weighted average price. What I don't like is that I added to this position when it tried to bounce off that low underneath VWAP and it like immediately stopped out. When I was looking at like execution, like, okay, well, should I have bought there? Sure, I'm going to buy there probably 10 times out of 10, but you do not need to add to it as it's breaking VWAP. And that's the only trade that I did not like today on IBIT. And it's, to me, that's the one that always stands out. So I have the trail in for IBIT right now. MLGO, I thought this was going to be the runner this afternoon, and I've been... Like I've had it up this entire time, just looking for it to break this downtrend. As you can see, it's not doing it. So maybe there's one more chance it can break the trend before we get to 340, 350, or we get to VWAP. I don't know. I thought the volume was doing pretty well on this. It's now just flushing to the downside. I don't even think I paid for or did we pay for locates on this?
You did, MLGO. Yeah, you got it for both of us.
Oh, I did.
It was
pay
like
for
half of a cent.
Oh yeah, it was super cheap.
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess we could have shorted it, but I was only looking long and it hasn't set up. You're not forced to catch a falling knife here. I just think it either breaks the trend or it gets to the volume weighted average price, which I'm much more comfortable waiting for it to do one of those two things. But you are running out of time. And if you're wondering what trend, I look at the one that's been holding. The topping tail, I don't really care about. I just want to see it revert this even a little bit, try to jump into a long, give it to the bottom. There's so much opportunity for it to go, but it's just bleeding here in MLG. Maybe there's another small capper that's going a little bit better. But I think this is the only one anyone's looking at, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I was trying to find the chat. Reddit. Reddit had a global outage at some point there, so we can go over.
I never had any issues with it today.
We can look at that. All right, so $90.60. We're getting more out here on Palantir. I almost think that I should just change or ask for a request where I cannot throw out orders like under a certain amount of shares. Therefore, I wouldn't just keep getting out here every time it goes up. But I should be getting them out in blocks, not like in part pieces. So I need to do better on that. But anyways, it's a nice move upside right now for PLTR. And there was another name that I wanted to talk about. I can't remember what it is right now. So we will be going over to Adara, I believe, Ramin. Are we ready now?
Are we though?
Beetlejuice. What's up, Adara?
Not Beetlejuice here, but VGZ. You guys are mentioning here other small cap runners. This one is doing a lot less volume. It's got about 1.5 million shares, I believe, traded on the day, but this is a Vista Gold Corporation. VGZ clearly running in gold sympathy. 100 million share float, 108 million market cap, and a pretty small price here. This is actually trading around 87.5 cents right now, guys. VGZ, back to you.
All right, so there's a small,
yeah, not bad. I saw a few people mentioning SoFi.
Yeah,
but it's the other way. Like SoFi is losing VWAP back to, like that's actually, SoFi looks like a short.
Mara, that's what it was. Yeah.
SoFi looks like a short right now going into the close. It's already 330. Though Apple just lost the volume weighted average price. I'm still staring down, like I said, MLGO. We have our trail on Bitcoin. That can't turn into a losing trade. The stop, I might tighten the stop on Intel because all of a sudden it's now, to let it get back to that buyer doesn't make any sense. I will now put it underneath VWAP there. But you're still seeing this same trend. I feel like you'll get one shot if we break the trend line on MLGO. So that's all I'm looking for here. We are close enough. And if there was anything like really standing out on the imbalance locator on the early look, I would have yelled it out for you. It's all the same. Like Kenvue's there almost every single day, and you have a couple of penny stocks. So there's not even anything on the early look. Ford 1.4, like Ford $10 stock now or whatever it is. Actually, check that. It's actually probably lower than $10. LUV's in there. It's pretty cheap. So there's no big names in here that are standing out over 1 million shares on the early look for the imbalances. So I think it might have a bit of a quiet one for the locator. It is the beginning of the week, so that kind of does matter. No, but Intel, like I don't want this getting back underneath the volume weighted average price. So I'm no longer giving it to that buyer that was at 50. It'll just be VWAP. And besides, that buyer, when I just scrolled down, I didn't see them again. Yeah, so I'm not even sure they're still there at the 18 level. So I'm not going to take that chance. IBIT's the trail, and it's really just about whether MLGO has one more salvo in it to try to bounce. Because it might get to the volume-weighted average price before the imbalances, and then we're just waiting for 12. Because it's at 13. It's been slowly bleeding to the downside. Could have gone short, but I've been looking for the bounce play on this. So you just have to be patient. It's still falling. I can't see any reason why you want to be early on this one.
All right, stop order time. Yeah, again, I don't know why Mara's not moving, but it's not, so fine. My stop on this was breaking through 12.15s. So we put on the risk of 8 cents. We were long at 12.23. We've got out at 12.45. So that was a decent return on our sort of thought there for what was going to happen for Mara. So I'm now in 20% of this trade still. And if we break below this wick rate here, I'm going to give it a little bit more, but below 12.30, and we are gone on MARA. So that's one stop order. The other stop order is Palantir. I just got hit on the way back up, so I actually layered some orders in there. I layered a 35, then I got a 45. So we just got some more outs right there as we now have 20% left of Palantir. So my stop for half of that trade is here at $90. If we break below the 50-period moving average, we're gone. You can see I just followed it all the way down. So I think that, again, we could start to use some of these. Maybe I'll have to use Fibonacci's or something like that to say, okay, my first out is that first level. Then we can start moving up to those different retracement levels. And maybe then we could figure that out. And we have the ability to draw these tools here. This is Fibonacci here. You just want to put it and then, go to the top or wherever the top of the day is. But anyways, as it goes, then, okay, well, those lines don't make any sense. But there would be one there and then one into there and then one into there. So I'll have to get that all figured out as we go. But at the end of the day, this could be something. And this line, whatever that magically is right there, lines up with really where you maybe should have been waiting for 91.17 or so. So, just trying to figure out how to not get out and in as many times as we do. But again, it's been working, so I'm not going to cry over the milk that has spilt. So that's that. Now we'll wait to see some upside surprises there. I do not have any more offers for Palantir. Let's see if we run into the close. And what I was struggling with was Mara. I just, when I was looking for a name to talk about, it was because I was putting in the stop orders, and I want to talk about that. So that was that. We had a huge trade. Let's go with Tuesday, maybe Wednesday of last week, at the end of the day on JP Morgan, but it had flushed into basically the low where we had some protection. Right now we don't. So I'm always going to look at this for the end of the day for JP Morgan because I noticed that it likes to open up a little higher and then fade the rest of the day, almost regardless of what the NASDAQ's doing. Like JP Morgan today opened just a little under where we closed on Friday. It doesn't ever really move too much in the after hours. So I like this stock. If we can get it near lows near the end of the day, I like it for bumps into the close. But today, what goes bump in the night is not going to be JP Morgan because it ain't doing much right now. Ooh, Second Cup. I see I'm already getting a lot more ads now for Second Cup because of the push against U.S. And I mean, the push is real, man. Talking with all the parents, I said this story last week. People won't I mean, this is around, you know, the people that, I don't know, I guess just some of these moms, I guess, I'm not sure if it's all of them or not, but the ones that used to take a lot of Starbucks right now are passing on that because of pro-Canada. But
That was a discussion at the party last night.
yeah, exactly. So there it goes, man. $20 in high side for that. Even yesterday, we went to IHOP because I was telling the story before. My brother wanted to go there. My parents, we didn't think that we'd be going to the finals. So Easter, the game was at 1, the semifinals, and then Geopots 2, and they win 2-0, and then they go on to the finals, and then they win 4-1. Well, we didn't even get home till 7 o'clock. So we went in between for a quick little lunch brunch thing, and I was like, oh man, IHOP's American. But there, look at DJT right now, ripping there this afternoon. So definitely a missed opportunity for Donald John Trump right there, as it goes from 21.20 up to 22 and change. The high from Friday, 22.75. So watch out for that pick right there, DJT. I cannot wait for the Maple Leafs game too, which is tomorrow night.
Tuesday, and then it's as usual. It feels like it's always the same thing. We'll win, and then we'll have to play one of the Florida teams, whichever.
No problem.
I feel like it'll be Tampa, but we'll see.
Yeah.
The thing about it is like you can't worry about who you got to play, because you know you're going to have to go through the gauntlet in the NHL to get to the playoffs. Like, it doesn't matter. Like,
it's the hardest championship to win.
It's insanity. Well, if you look statistically, in terms of just like lower seeds winning, it's like the attrition is just different in that sport. In terms of parity, baseball and hockey have way better parity than the other sports. I don't care what you say. You always know who's going there in basketball. That's why I want to see Oklahoma. I want to see OKC because I'll actually watch. I think I'd watch almost every game in the finals if OKC made it.
Yeah, I was watching the NBA playoffs actually. I mean, it's been good because the players are playing.
Yeah.
So I love the NBA. It's just I hate
players play. We had a discussion at my buddy's 50th birthday party. We had a discussion specifically about like when we were kids growing up, you never had to worry about watching an NBA game. When the Raptors came to town, if another team came to town and you bought tickets, you were going to see the other team's star player play.
And that doesn't happen.
And that's why kids are like you're going to go and you're not going to see Steph, and you're going to go and you're not going to see LeBron. Like, it's nonsense. The trail's in right now for IBIT, and look, MLGO is still bleeding. Charlie Taft says Wolves in 4.
I hope so.
Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, I hope so too. I don't think it's going to happen though. Like, they're not getting swept. They just, they're not getting swept. The Lakers.
It's only 1-0, or I don't know. Is it 2-0?
It's just 1-0.
Okay. Is that tonight? I hope so. I want to watch that.
Yeah, it's no, it's not. Is it tomorrow? I thought it was tomorrow.
I thought they played on Friday.
Is it tonight?
Saturday? I don't know.
I could be wrong. I haven't checked.
Go Palantir.
Yeah, go market. The market's actually trying to get off the bid. I don't think we'll get in the category of, hey, we bought up enough that you're happy about it, because like we're still 3% down. You're not recovering to VWAP. The latest rallies we've been seeing, the good ones, are when we're getting and holding above the volume-weighted average price, right? Like, I think sometimes you'll get that late-day rally off of the lows. You're putting in a higher low, but we're not getting anything that's breaking the downward trend that we've had all day today. But I've been waiting around for this 75 area here, and the trail's in now. Like, if we break under the trend, I've moved it. Like, it went from here to here, and with only about 15 minutes until we get to the imbalances. Like Intel, as I said, it's slowly going up, but just not rapidly enough. Like, you're trying to get back to this level out in front of 1875, and it's just not really doing a very fast move at all. And Kurt Hodel saying, what's the tape look like on the ES? I don't have the level 2 up. We can, here, we'll do it live. It's frustrating because I have to type in ES/M25. This is the tape on the ES. Like, we're not flying around. Like, yeah, okay, fine. Like, you look at the 15-minute chart and it looks pretty good off of the lows, but we're not flying around by any imagination. Like, this is not what I would call like crazy last 30-minute action. 350, it probably speeds up a little bit, but this is not going nuts by any stretch. And remember, it's Easter Monday. Like, all of Europe was closed today, and with a long weekend and no ridiculous headlines, it's not like we were expecting huge volume. Possibly why the downtrend was so good, I guess. And when I guess when it's like that lower volume, you don't get as many good reversions off the lows, so you got to take the chance when you get it. So I'm sitting in front, looking to see if we can't get VWAP on IBIT here. Glad that we're making this nice bounce, but nothing is off. Nothing is off the schneid for me. Like, I still feel so negative about the market today, regardless of this bounce, unfortunately. But thankfully, the longs are working this afternoon.
Yeah, we mentioned that we thought there was a better chance for it to retrace. We said it was either going to be down 2% or 5% or something like that when it was down 3.5%. And it looks like we're getting closer to the 2 than the 5, but we're still down 3%, which is still huge for the market. But the NASDAQ and the ES attached today, one down 287, the other one down 301. So very, very close to that. A quick little look back at Netflix, as I've sort of called a lower move here for Netflix over the next couple of days. It's nicely retracing, though. We did make that low down there at 975, which put it basically flat for the day, I believe. And that was off earnings, right? And so 975, yeah, we went out on Thursday at 975. So that's awesome touch right there, down to that level for a bounce, like $25, $30 bounce. You're getting that exact same bounce now, again, off of those past lows. So the reason why I'm a little disappointed, or should have maybe looked at Netflix for that trade, was it was going to be a nothing burger. The expected move was 8 to 9% off earnings. We kind of got it when it moved up here. I think it was up 6 or 7% on Thursday at 1020. Then it comes right at price 1020. Then it comes right back up to 1020 again, and then it falls right back as if the earnings didn't happen. Then that rebound, then the tank, then the rebound, and so on and so forth. So Netflix trying to hold water right now. I'd look for a short in this name, and I just, maybe there's a better thing to trade for Netflix, but I was thinking, yeah, we need to break this though. 960 in order for us to get really going. That would be the low of their earnings day, like the day that they reported. So we like to get back and break Thursday's low. There's better names to short. I'm just thinking that whenever there's so much love for a name, like everybody loves Netflix, like I loved it at the beginning of the year, and I don't love it after they've reported now, just because I would have loved to see it go a little higher than its expected move in order to do that, because we said it, beat on the guide, guided further than the street, and still only up 1.86%. But it's an up stock in this market, so I hold back, everything, because again, I wouldn't short it. I just think it's going lower. I'm surprised it's not even red today, to be honest with you, considering where the NASDAQ is. So we'll wait to see. I hope I'm wrong on that.
I was going to say, you can thank the market for bouncing here, obviously.
Well, I can definitely thank the market, that's for sure.
By the way, on Blue Ocean, it held 1,000 almost exactly on the overnight, on Netflix anyways. But it's not very liquid. That's the problem with it. That's the other thing. When Netflix splits, you're going to be able to trade that on Blue Ocean for real. Because I looked at it, the levels were good, but because it's 1,000, liquidity's trash. Because the volume, like you need more, the same amount of volume on like $100 stock would have been fine to be able to just go long at 100 on Blue Ocean. But at 1,000, you just can't do it. So MLG, I'll get two things, because we got 1875 in Intel, but we also took this last little trend trade, and it happened just as we're getting into 340. So it's close enough, but trend break, it closed above, and now we're trying to hold the $13, which it might not. We didn't get to VWAP, but I said we'll wait for the trend break and take our shot on MLGO. And then while that happened, Intel spiked up to the 1875. So the buyer at 1851, maybe that'll be a thing tomorrow. But there was like a chunk buyer on the way back in at $18.50 on Intel that just managed to hold up here. So we'll get that one. And then IBIT, I guess it's not. Yeah, IBIT's actually curling back in here. Where did I put the stop? Why did that not fill? We lost 60. You know what? You shouldn't sit there asking, wait a minute, I thought my trail was above here. Instead of looking in your activity log, well, what just happened? Well, it doesn't matter. Punch out first and then worry about what happened later. I used to scold traders for that all the time. If you think you should have been filled or a stop should have triggered, just punch out first or do the action first and then worry about it. I think I might have just moved it or had it wrong by a cent or two on that stop. So we did just trail out of IBIT. We just got out of Intel at the high. It's not the high of the day, but MLGO doesn't want to go here. I thought this might be the one to break trend and give you a big move up. And I was looking for a $13.50 to $14.50, $15 move there. So if it's losing $13, I'm not holding it to the volume weighted average price. That's still $1.50 away. So it was never, just couldn't get to VWAP there. I don't think this stock is done yet because it closes on volume. It's 72 million. It's going to close above VWAP after making a huge pullback and bounce off to 50 period. So it's done a huge pullback, and I would be looking for some continuation. It just doesn't look like it wants to be yet on MLGO.
All right, yeah, tough looks. As MLGO is back now below 13, so I mean, I don't need to cover it now as Neil just took that. And yeah, quick out, so that's what happens. You kind of do those trades. You know, we're worth it, especially as we look for something happening in the market. DJT, all right, now it's positive, so anyone's holding this one, yay for that. DJT, nice upside move there as we maybe see what options are saying with that. I'm just in love with watching this Palantir continue to climb higher. I do have an out at 90, then I do have an out at, it's $1.25 in the money now. Mara not doing anything. We've talked about where that out is. ARM, JP Morgan. I'm just trying to see what's hitting here. This is the hot list for today right now happening as I was just scrolling down. Looks like e-signal indicating to look at some stocks. SPY, NVIDIA, Palantir Qs, TQs. This is a curated list from them. As soon as the trades start sort of, you know, hitting the tape, and someone asked about the futures tape, I only have Qs on here, I don't have SPY. There's SPY. This is not my list. This is the trade rate. So as the futures start to move around, you will see SPY on here. Amazon, MLGO. So this is just another one of those things where if you are looking to get a trading platform, definitely scan it, get e-signal. I haven't seen them today, but at the end of the day, check out e-signal for your own good. There, AMD, AVGO, there's Robinhood as well. NIM may be moving around, so that sometimes can hit there. And then as we look, you know, just at some of the go, wow, we're now at $1.30, $1.35, trying to get $1.40. Here, we'll just watch. Let's watch Palantir together as it goes nicely to the upside right now. As that's been a good run, yeah, buddy, for that. Wow, if we had held it all, wow, we'd be mooning right now in set account. But all right, let's just scan this. So, you know, out of the stocks that I've created myself here, including, and I use this to scan for my own alerts and things. So this is what's moving right now, down 9% today. And there it goes, man, the NASDAQ, good call. We called the long on the futures, and I'm glad that we had Palantir. We should have took both of them. That's dangerous. TQs, SOXL. So these are all, forget about most of these up here as they're triple levered. But SMR, yikes, down 7%. That sucks. SMCI, down 7%. Breaks 30. Tesla, down 7%. Up, down to 226 right now. NVIDIA, down 5. So all of these, wow, let's go market. Let's go Palantir. Come on, Alex, you can do it. Actually, I'm going to take out a piece at 83. Why not? There, yeah, ooh. Bang, right there. As we'll hit the sirens up, we get 90s on that one. $1.40 running it for you right there. We're going to be flat. Neil's going to be flat. I still have these two positions. Micron, 3%. Affirm, down 4%. DraftKings, I don't know if I like DraftKings anymore, man. They're spending a lot of money these days. DraftKings on the downside. I've never, I bought that stock early. Haven't bought that stock in years. We can talk about that maybe tomorrow. Although I have liked it. You guys know that. Palantir there, 90, down 3%. So forget about it. Let's just see what's up today. iBit, Netflix, and Mr. Baba, with Roblox going to turn green here in a minute. So will Coinbase, Qualcomm, PayPal, Disney, Starbucks, JP Morgan. So again, maybe some love for the S&P today, as a lot of these names are in there, with especially with Intel, Disney, PayPal. Some of these names just aren't in the NASDAQ. PayPal is. Starbucks, $80. JP Morgan, $228, with a little bit of a late day run as well. So just to look at some of those different names as we now wait. I'm gonna be here for Palantir at $91. So let's go, man. Big trade alert to end the day. Thank you so much, Palantir, for that. And thank you to everybody for watching and listening to me ramble on about these trades. But I mean, I hope you've been taking them. It's been a good day so far. Only 3 trades over here that we've taken, and you know, we've kind of talked about them ad nauseum. So if there's anything else, let us know. There's only a couple more minutes left for these imbalances.
Yeah, someone just asked me in the chat. I saw like Nike was strong after the move. Someone asked me my thoughts on Kohl's. It's a response, a simple one. I would be very picky with the retailers, and I think Kohl's is very much downward trending and no signs of breaking the trend just yet for that name. But it's got a big time short float, so you want to look for maybe some trades. With only about 3 minutes to go here till we get the imbalances, as we showed, like, nothing is standing out whatsoever. I think it was the right decision to get out of iBit. Like, it did a solid enough move this afternoon, but no follow through to push it through VWAP. The strength that was there this morning is not nearly as big here today. I'm a little bit, I don't know, I'm kind of 50-50 on what I feel about the day for Bitcoin. 50-50, iBit held the 50 period on the daily. That's the good part. The bad part is it went right into the most local of resistance at $50.50, which is that 88. Some people said it was literally 88,888 on Bitcoin, but it's just underneath 89,000, and we've rejected it again. So I think any longs tomorrow on Bitcoin, which I'm going to come in looking for longs again because the longs were good today. Didn't make a misstep early, but later in the morning and then certainly this afternoon off that 49 low, let it fill in the gap to the prior bar low. That's why we're going long in front of 49 on IBIT. But I do not love the fact that the 89,000 level is continuing to be a bit of trouble for us. But yeah, I was going to mention before we got the imbalances when we had the question about Kohl's that Nike, like this is a different move. Like Kohl's, forget about that. Nike just went bottom to top this afternoon. And it just went green on the day. We're going to Dare on News, but Nike is making a bottoming pattern that deserves a potential breakout here. Like it's breaking this trend today. Like if I draw a trend line there, it's breaking it today. Knock on wood. Let's go to Adair.
Watch out here for GOOGL. CNBC just published an article here saying that Google is responding here to the DOJ's proposal for the company's breakup. Google is actually playing a pretty interesting card here. They're saying that they believe that if the company breaks up, that will actually harm the U.S. with regards to its, quote, global race with China. So Google arguing that its company being non-broken up and as a whole is actually a very integral part of this U.S. trade war conflict here with China, and that breaking up would actually hurt the country. So a really interesting point here. GOOGL on watch. You're actually trying to break out, but interesting article there. Back to you.
All right, boom goes the dynamite there. Yeah, thank you for that. I probably shouldn't have showed the shoes, you know. I mean, obviously, since then it's been going nothing but upside. JK. All right, here goes Palantir, man. We are pennies away. I did get some out because we are now 30 seconds away from the imbalances. So I'm actually going to, only source, obviously, these closing trades here. So we'll go like that. We'll get rid of them, and then we'll go. So pretty soon this will all update, and we'll see what's going on with Palantir. I'm now getting, less and less, man. We have about 12 to 15% left on this trade. I am still offering 91, then 91.25 in less than 10 seconds. There's some hawk outside my house right now. My wife is trying to send me pictures, but it's not super clear, so I'm not going to show it. But I love birds, man. Hawks, eagles, those are my favorite type of animals. So, all right, polar bears are my favorite. But all right, $90.70. It doesn't look like there's much happening.
NVIDIA,
here.
3 million buy.
Right, yeah. So there it is, NVIDIA on the buy side. So that's trying to go up, but not much happening there. Amazon with the sell. We loved Amazon sell all day, but never came into play. Walmart to buy as well as that comes through. We exit our trade, and it's a money bag yo kind of a trade right now for Mara. Mara will actually be P&L number 2 today, show wide. So there it goes. I didn't look at what Adair has been trading. Mara, boom to the upside, boom right there, 12.45. So that's going to be a good one there for that. Doesn't look like Palantir is doing too much. I didn't even see Palantir there on the imbalances, but I didn't look too much. Schwab is there. That's probably a good buy. Ooh. All right, Elon, I see you over there. Tesla, of course, 600,000 to the buy side, so that's creating a nice little bid upside. Kenvue, BAC, UiPath right there as well. Lucid as a bid, but yeah, relatively uneventful. Microsoft with a sell. Just to show you, like, if you're stuck in these trades, sometimes you get that little, wick down, like that wick down $1. So, all right, I'm just going to start to sort of piece out of some of these trades because they're not really doing too much. I didn't even see Palantir on there. Look, man, we're $1 plus change right now in the money on Palantir. We've had a couple good Dollar Club winners today, and we've been celebrating them all day and all night. So apparently Lakers game is tomorrow.
That's what I thought.
So, yeah, like I was saying, man, I got my kids the PS5. We downloaded NBA 2K25. So every time I play my kid, and I was playing him on Friday. It was great. We actually played twice. He only plays the Lakers, man, and he's like LeBron, but now he's discovered Luka. So I can't, it's like to LeBron, to Luka, to LeBron, to Luka, to Reeves. Hits a couple threes in there. And it's just like, this guy's just dropping threes on my head all day long.
Could you imagine them in NBA Jam, that team?
I know, exactly.
It would just be so stupid.
So.
That would break the game.
I just can't, I don't want him to figure out how to trade, because then he'll trade for a big man, and then I'm really screwed. So we'll wait for that.
That's why they can't win, by the way, because they don't have a big that they can actually run out there that plays any defense. It's almost as if, Luka's a great player. I think it was a great trade for them, but
great trade. I mean, it's pretty much the biggest lopsided trade in the history of the NBA.
I'm not defending Dallas's trade, but the lack of a reasonable big has hurt the Lakers for sure. Mark on the Oh, whoops. John just mentioned Nike. We went over that one. I actually do like Nike. I'm considering I might put a swing on that stock if it doesn't do something really stupid to the downside tomorrow. But Mark, up or down on Tesla tomorrow after results? I have been steadily bearish on Tesla. This is even the level that I like on Tesla. I just don't want to buy it down here again. I think the sentiment's too bad. I'm just wondering what can actually get said. And even last time on earnings, did we even get any follow through? It's just, yeah, I'm still bearish on Tesla overall. I really hope I'm wrong, but I'm not a buyer at 220 like I was before. And I bought this level twice. Like I bought it here, and then I bought it, I forget when it was last year that we bought the 220 level. I just don't remember if it was September or October. But yeah, I'm not terribly bullish on Tesla here. I think it's sentiment more than the fundamentals right now, unfortunately. So how much are the earnings going to be able to matter for them? That'd be the question I'd have to ask.
What? It's supposed to be freezing cold. Yeah, this is the hockey. You can't barely see it. No, because tonight we have baseball as well as hockey. So I'm hoping that we are going to cancel our baseball practice because it's freaking cold and raining out. It's like, hey, Red Sox, we are proceeding with the practice tonight at 6 p.m. We're not doing that. All right, so there's the hawk. Well, we probably will. There's the hawk right here. I don't know if you guys can see that, but anyways, I was in my backyard and this guy swooped down and like almost, all I heard was whoosh. Like I saw my like life flash in front of me. Like I don't know if he's coming down to get some or what, but like this guy's quite a beast. That's for sure. Okay, good. My wife's phone is charged. Okay, that's a good sign.
They're like,
all right.
You don't mess around with them. Like they're a little.
What's your favorite? Do you have a favorite animal or?
You know what? I can't say that I have a favorite animal. That's a great question.
Thank you.
I don't really.
Ramin, favorite animal?
Good question.
Adara? Peacock for Adara. Adara was real quick with that one. Another one. So it pops up on that one. What was that, Ramin? Ooh, a lion. In the jungle.
I was always the most impressed with tigers. It's just in terms of like the big cats. Like everyone's like, well, lions are the scariest. No, man, when you're close to a tiger, like they're just built different. Like tigers are just built like Sharif. Like, you know, like that's.
I like the Black Panther. Like those, like there was one in the zoo, like, you know, they're just kind of like chilling around.
It would be a big cat. I just had to pick. On the imbalances, NVIDIA did. Where'd my imbalance locator go?
I'm a B.
NVIDIA did pair off there. So that imbalance on NVIDIA did flip, or it just paired off altogether. So it's 355. It was the only thing out there that was anything on the imbalance locator, but it flipped. It's actually heading a little bit higher. Holding VWAP, so 4.5% only now on NVIDIA, when it was almost 7% to the downside. Someone just said Bigfoot.
I love Bigfoot, man.
You don't believe?
Not real. Oh, Cheshire Cat.
Cheshire Cat.
But Bigfoot is real. I mean, haven't you seen all those videos, guys? You know,
I've seen mad videos.
I mean, how else are you going to make those videos?
Well, every week I would watch Unsolved Mysteries.
Me too.
And I'm pretty sure we'd see Bigfoot at least every other week. So I'm just saying. That show was legit.
You know, shout out to Trailer Park Boys, the Sam Squanches everywhere.
Yo, dude's in a new show. Oh shoot, The Trades. I saw a trailer for this.
The Trades.
Or is it called The Trades or is it Trades?
What is this?
What's his name?
Chupacabras are amazing too. I love Chupacabras.
You'll want to check this out.
What, Chupacabras?
No, The Trades. It's called
I love
The
there's
Trades.
actually a movie on Chupacabras.
One of the dudes from Trailer Park Boys is in it.
Okay.
It's Ricky. I think it's Ricky from Trailer Park. I don't know the actor's name off the top of my head, but I think you'd find it hilarious.
Random Canadian guy.
Trailer Park Boys is one of the greatest shows. No, I haven't watched Shoresy, but I know people are feeling Canada in the U.S., but Trailer Park Boys it's way up there, man. Super funny show.
Yeah, I've watched it too many times. Now I rewatch it and I'm just like, the language is too bad. I don't know, but I've seen everything.
It's not for kids.
Yes, you're right, David. I am from Bigfoot lineage. That is correct. You know, I got size 13. You know what I mean? Shout out to my guy, Biggie Smalls. We do have a big foot around here. I like Bigfoot, man. I like those videos. I like the lore of it. You know, what's the one in Scotland there? Loch Ness Monster.
Yeah, the Loch Ness Monster.
Like the Loch Ness Monster. What are some other ones there?
You ever been?
Dracula. To Scotland? No.
No. Yeah, I've never been to Scotland.
No, never been to Scotland there. Been to
No,
Ireland.
I want to go. I was going to say, first things
been to
first,
Dublin.
I would go to Ireland before I would go to Scotland, 100%. 100%.
There's some possums in my
Oh, shit, it's
backyard, and
3:58?
my dog was like,
I'm going to get up to the desk. I didn't realize it's
All right, yeah.
3:58. We'll cancel our stops.
oh, I want
don't
to
know why I
get
even
a
have
picture
those
of Belle.
left.
Can you send me a pic? Yeah, get up there of Belle.
didn't realize that later.
Belle is my cockapoo. So, and she is just like yesterday. I drove my kid back home after Easter down here to Kensington, where he lives, and I was like, Belle, want to go for a car ride? Anyway, it's no problem. Don't even have to leave. She just runs right outside, open the door, jumps right in. Like, obviously, I mean, pretty smart. We'll see if we can get that. If any of you have, any pets, you know what I'm talking about. I actually have a pet axolotl. My 13-year-old has an axolotl. It's pretty awesome. He initially got it because of Minecraft. There's some of the axolotls, but I love Belle. And of course, kids got to name it from, I used to have a pug, Guido, who actually has an Instagram page. You go check out Guido the pug, I think, on Instagram. It was awesome. Italian pug. All right, it's 3:58. Thank you so much to everybody for joining us here today. This is $1.50 now in the money. Okay, here's a picture of Belle. Let me see what this looks like here. Oh, okay, not bad. Here she is. So this is just right now live. She's actually thicker than this. Like she does, I guess, I don't know. But there's Belle. What's up, Belle? So she's just chilling out on the couch where she always is. I mean, I don't even want her on the couch, but I can't stop that from happening now. All right, less than a minute left. Shout out to Belle. I think everybody, I even tell my parents, like, you need to just get a dog. Like, just get a dog. You will not regret it 1 minute in your life. And especially a cockapoo, they are hypoallergenic. Anybody want to see a podcast? I want to bring podcasts back, actually. I think a podcast would be really fun. Not that there's any time in the day to do that, but I think podcasting would be pretty fun to do again. Great start to the week. I want to thank everybody. Yeah, standard. Yeah, exactly, Riri Jordan there. She gets the smarts from the poodle. I don't. She's pretty amazing, that is for sure. And a shout out to anybody that has canine, feline friend, whatever, man. Pets are awesome. I love pets. All right, Adara. Oh, is the green screen maybe back in working? It is not. All right, so with less than 10 seconds left, Adara will be at the... what? It is working. Okay, I see you there, Ramin. All right, 5, 4, and there's Adara on the bell. 3, 2, and 1. This bell brought to you by Trader TV Live and Real Trading. Make sure you do scan that QR code on your screen right now. It's the prop firm that I still have shares here actually in Palantir. I got to get out of these. It is the prop firm that we work for and I've been with for over 25 years. Join Real Trading right now. Never miss a payment, never miss anything. And I don't have a read for this, so I'll stop. But there it is. Also, go follow us on TikTok as well. That's been bumping. So go follow us on TikTok at Trader TV Live Official on that one. You guys want to see Kevin O'Leary back? Maybe we'll get Kevin O'Leary back soon as well. Thank you so much for watching today. It's been a blast. We're back here tomorrow at 8:30. Thank you to Obi for a big show on the midday with Joe. So thank you for that. Thank you to Ramin for doing everything there today and Andre for filling in, obviously, as well. Shout out to Brendan for the first hour there and everything he's doing off and on there. What's up, Bianca, who's here working on our social media as well. So, and Bears vs. Bulls. I cannot say thank you enough to the world's best moderator. And then the most important are all of you. So thank you to all the viewers for watching our trades. You know, look where the NASDAQ got, by the way. Like we had talked about it coming back into these levels. So there it is, now only down 2.5%. We called 2%, not bad. We almost got there. Nice battle back there today. We got back through VWAP. Hey, you want to call for tomorrow? We'll open up plus 1% in the NASDAQ tomorrow. So watch out for that tomorrow morning. Random thought to end the day. See you, everybody. Over to the recap show.
Welcome to the Market Recap Show brought to you by ProfitX. I'm telling you, it was a sea of red today. Adara, the shorts won out. We had a holiday shortened week last week, but even on the holiday on Friday, you had a little bit more back and forth with President Trump hitting at Powell, and then everyone and their mother was over the weekend sort of saying and coming out, oh, Fed independence if it's threatened, that's not good for confidence. US dollar was down. Every single sector that was not, look, if it's not a hedge, if it's not like gold, then it wasn't doing well today. There was a point where Bitcoin has held up, I think, relatively strongly. So a couple of things were some safe havens, but you can see the bleed. I mean, SMH, 3 points to the, I don't know why that's not low. I'll probably have to restart this because that just jinxed it. It's so bad that the chart wanted to die on me. But SMH down 3 points, not looking very good. Their energy was down 3 points. The NASDAQ was down 2.8. The SPY down 2.6. There was more or less nobody that was going to be immune to this drop-off. Netflix report, of course, Netflix was our first day trading after they reported on Thursday. I feel like we're used to being able to trade them on the Friday when they report on Thursday.
Yeah.
They were able to hold up a little bit, but even they succumbed to the overall trend back into the downside. Not a great start to the week for the market, but it's certainly a good one for volatility and trading. Intel's out.
Okay, I'll look at it right now. It's not earnings. They're supposed to report on Thursday, but there might be something on Intel, so I will take a look here at IN to the T to the C. I'm not seeing anything yet, but we'll stay patient. We will wait. We know that Lit Bhutan, who is their new CEO, has apparently been doing a lot. He's doing like a different kind of structure with regards to leadership. We know he was vocally critical of Pat Gelsinger. That's why he resigned from the board in August 2024, of course, prior to being hired as CEO effective March 2025. I will be waiting to see if I see anything on this story here for I to the N to the T to the C. As far as earnings are concerned, there's nothing really. There's like WRB, WR Berkeley. They are a bank-related name, but yeah, I mean, nothing huge here. INTC, am I INTCing anything on this? I am not. So if I see any news there, I'll let you know. Nothing on X, nothing on Benzinga.
It got right to this resistance, though.
Yeah.
From earlier, like right into 1925, 1930. It's only 1%, but I mean, for a stock that was trending up. Remember, this was a reversal play. We're shorting it all day and then shorting the VWAP and then a reversal. So there was buyers going into the close on Intel here. Yeah, there's nothing on the old X machine. Like I'm not seeing anything on TweetDeck either to support this move. But hey, you'll take, if they're buying anything in the aftermarket after today, you kind of like it. Maybe someone's just tired of the stock falling and falling and falling and falling, and it is just now trying again to hold these high teens. So yeah, the daily chart is pretty nasty for Intel. Obviously, the new CEO change, Gelsinger wasn't able to pull anything off with any kind of a comeback. We'll hope for a little bit better here, but no story. It is dripping back a little bit here, Adara. So I don't wonder if, as you see something run on a little bit of volume in the aftermarket, if no story comes out, profit takers are going to start to come in there. That's what seems to be happening over there on Intel. So I don't want to tell you that we know what's happening here. Don't want to misreport, but there is a nice little volume spike over there. I just have to point out, we were talking about where you could have actually been long today and where some of the strength was. Another high made on gold.
Yeah.
Like this is GLD. Up 3 points today, ends up closing a little bit off the high. So yes, you did run into that new fresh high in the morning and then you double topped it out. But the trend very well held, let's just say, actually holding the same bid as it did at the open a little bit in the midday there. I think that was about 1 o'clock. It caught the same buy. So still so much strength. And what I like about this, we were talking about this GDX to gold where it did this before. And we saw this last week. We'd have another fresh high, and then GDX went into pullback. And then what happened after that, let's see if I can go to you should go to a 15-minute chart here. Because what ended up happening after that on GDX when it pulled back is it pulled right back into the prior resistance level and then caught a bit of a bid. So I think you're now range bound at the top end of the range in the minors while gold is still breaking out. So watch for some accumulation potentially here in GDX. I know this is something that has been for a lot of people, like where else are you going to hide? You're going to hide, maybe you hide in the VIX, maybe you hide in gold, but it's catching a bit of a wave up in these minors and playing the pullbacks might give you the chance to get some juice on there. But it was SMH that I was trying to get to when the chart said we're not looking at SMH. Maybe it's just that bad. Down 3 points. It all started, NVIDIA down at 1.7% there, Adara. There were no massive headlines, but it's not a good, it's not a good look, and it wasn't a good start when you had China come out and essentially say, anybody cuts any deals with the US that's not in our interest, we're going to retaliate against you. And on top of that, then Huawei comes out saying they're going to start shipment of their competitive chip to NVIDIA. Neither one of those things is going to be good for them. The SMH took it on the chin, but just wanted to point out you had a nice It's not a V shape. You had a nice U shape, whatever you want to call that pattern, on SMH to try to battle back, still down 2.5%. So you did have the index do okay. And then you juxtapose that with the bouncer in NVIDIA. Yeah, NVIDIA is no longer leading this at all. It's now in the category of relatively weak. So it doesn't come anywhere near to pulling back into those morning highs while you did see a recovery over there on SMH. So that's something that bears watching. NVIDIA no longer the leader it used to be.
Yeah, I think that NVIDIA, I guess, not being the leader, I think that's a key story here. Speaking of other chip names, I'm still not saying anything in Intel. Some people in the chat are talking about their 18A chip, but I looked into this. This isn't supposed to be released for a while now. And I'm not seeing any breaking news on it. There is one thing that apparently was fake news from 2 hours ago about Trump buying a laptop with an Intel logo. But again, fake news from 2 hours ago. In terms of recent news for INTC, I'm not seeing anything. A lot of people on X saying, what's the reason for this move? And I have found that when that happens, there's no reason for the move. That's generally what I found. Again, there's probably some exceptions, but usually if we have a lot of people in a fairly sustained period of time here in this aftermarket wondering why something's moving and we still don't have a catalyst, generally there is not one, or at least there's not one immediately available, but sometimes things can come later. We know that Hertz was really strong pre-market that day that Bill Ackman bought, to the point where I was looking at it for the watch list. I was like, what's happening? Couldn't find anything. About an hour after that, we get news about the buy. Like the first set of news about the buy, because if anyone knows, that story unfolded in way too many parts and way too many different types of pump and dump, so, in my opinion. So sometimes we can get news later. That's just the only reason I bring up that story.
It wouldn't
here,
be it would not be the first time that we've seen something like this, where you're like, you don't have an explanation for it, and then you come out, and tomorrow all of a sudden it's like so and so has a rumor that I'm not saying this is true. I'm just for an example here, like the Qualcomm story that had come out that maybe they were interested in buying Intel, or maybe they're going to spin off a division. Something along those lines could come out tomorrow, and someone got wind of it, and there was a little bit of buying action. Because let's be real, it did a very good job of bidding up at the close when maybe you didn't see as big of a move in the futures relative to, in the other chip names, as you did see with Intel at the end of the day. So it might be something that's worth watching. It should be on put it on your watch list tomorrow that it already had a pretty solid move. And then keep in mind, they report on Thursday. So the report is coming out this week. Someone could have got wind of something, maybe like a little bit of a leak. When a stock is this badly beaten up, the percentage gains can just be much better off of the bottoms. And that's why people get really interested in trying to take these shots. We got a lot of that today. A lot of questions, and the more the market continues to look weak, we get a lot of questions about catching bottoms. But there was one that I promised myself we'd have to actually take a look at here before we get to Michael Noss joining us here in just a couple of minutes. And that was the run on Nike this afternoon. Like, you want to talk about a name that has the whole China hangover over it, a retail name that's been beaten up, a brand that people have been talking about is getting stale. Well, it's really held on to this low down in the low 50s, 52 specifically, and then you're putting in that higher low. And while the market looked like everything was going to be doom and gloom, it didn't just bounce. It didn't just step up. It got to the morning resistance, did a brief consolidation, and exploded away from it. There's some real buying going on down here in the low 50s in Nike, and it's really entering that reversal territory. Now, all caveats aside, this is a stock which is still, 20% from the 50-period moving average. You can play that two ways. The consolidation off this bottom, because it's now broken this tight downward trend that it's got going on. I could draw a trend line, but we did it in the afternoon show. It's setting up. We can break this wick out. It's like 57-ish. You break that out, stop at the low, play into each major moving average, or if not the $80 level. Someone asked me about Kohl's, and I was like, if you're taking a shot on a retailer, how about the one that they broke out the top today instead of the one which is hanging at the lows? At the best you can do when you're looking to, and we'll talk to Michael about this as well, when you're looking for things to buy, it's like, I'm looking at this group. I think the retailers are down too much. Try not to buy the worst one. Like, just find someone that has some sign of relative strength even if it's like fleeting relative strength. So I'm not telling you this daily chart looks good on Nike. I'm not telling you that they're past their issues. I'm not telling you that the brand is recovering. But somebody wanted to buy that one up today. And you got to make sure you pay attention to price action because it is absolutely king. And someone I know that listens to price action all the time, we're going to talk to right now because in Trader Talk, we love our CMTs. And for sure, we love our good friend, the NOS Boss. Oh, my button's not working. Let's go to the NOS Boss. Welcome, Michael. My fun button with the transition didn't work today, so I hope you don't mind that we'll just give you a hearty welcome and hope that you had a good start to your week. The market volatility is definitely still here. You were wearing the appropriate color for the market today.
Yeah, it was definitely a fun day. It was a busy day. As someone who's, running a lot of mean reversion strategies, the alerts were just firing off all day. So I bought a lot of stuff. I don't know if that's a good thing or not. We won't know for a couple days. But yeah, it was a very active Monday for sure.
Well, this morning you had talked about, I know the defense sector for sure, and that's something maybe we want to hit on there again. But there was also a really good, well, let's call it a disconnect. I mean, obviously we know that the ES, NASDAQ have been running contrary. Gold is a good hedge, yada, yada, yada. But today, for a good portion of the day, you had Bitcoin specifically rallying when a lot of times it's just been a risk asset that follows along with the NASDAQ. And we did not see that today. The longs were fantastic on Bitcoin as the market was dropping. There were even some moments when the market would catch a bid and you'd see Bitcoin pull back in. All of a sudden, you've got this sort of, I don't want to call it a hedge, but it's certainly a change in behavior with Bitcoin versus the index.
Yeah, and I have the chart up here in Bitcoin, and it's important to note anyone who's new to Bitcoin, it didn't help us in this is 2022, 2023, sold off a lot, right? It was down 80% in that period of time. And, way back in 2020, it didn't help us during that crash, another 80% drop there. But if you zoom into just right now, we had a nice little push out of a pretty substantial couple week base. And then compare that to the S&P 500, right? We've been selling off pretty dramatically. So it's not huge yet, but it's something that's really interesting. Whereas, I've run the correlations. Bitcoin essentially most of the time just acts like an internet stock. It moves with the Qs, it moves with any kind of internet stock, and same with a lot of these other names. And we're starting to see that break just a little bit. And there's a lot of speculation to maybe why. It could be, you can't tariff Bitcoin. It could be the fact that people are looking for somewhere to put their money. Bonds aren't doing well right now as a hedge. Gold is really overextended, so a lot of people might be worried about using that as a hedge. But so it might just be one of those, it's the only place that seems safe to put your money in, which is just a wild thing to say about Bitcoin.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of people that probably don't think it's that wild, but the price action would tell you it's not as if it's without volatility. I get it as someone who holds, and it's funny, like I always say, as someone who holds 5% of my my portfolio in Bitcoin, well, it's not 5% anymore. I'd have to double check because it's probably approaching 7%, and that has to do with twofold. One, the fact that it's holding up pretty well, and then two, the fact that the market's been bleeding. So obviously your long-term portfolio is not going to be doing very well in any shape or form. But there was a wealth of, look, we had a sea of red today. And I just saw, who was it in the, I just saw in the chat, it was Rainmaker in the chat. I'm literally reading this from the chat because I saw it 2 seconds ago. You should be buying up your favorite stock here for the long term, Trump giving you a gift. So regardless of what you think of the timeline, with how this gets resolved for the tariff battle that we're seeing, certainly, I don't disagree that in these markets, when we enter a bear market, I'm always looking for places to buy. You had mentioned defense, and I immediately threw out to our chat that, hey, for the first time, I've been waiting for Lockheed Martin to make a bottoming pattern, and it's starting to do so. So all of a sudden, that's on my radar. Nike out of nowhere today. I don't love the company, so I don't know if I'd put that one on, because I think fundamentally if I had to bet which company is going to do better in the next 10 years, I feel better about Lockheed Martin and defense spending than I do about Nike, where brands go up, they go down. But the shopping list has to be out there. I know that's something you talk about a lot.
Yeah, and this is, the rare times that, value investors and people like that actually end up doing really well. You're 100% right. If you have cash right now, or if you can raise cash right now, I'm not saying the market's bottomed and it's going to go higher, but if you just look back in history, if you were able to buy whatever remained of the internet at the year 2000 and held that for 10, 20 years, you would have been doing fantastic. I remember looking at, Goldman Sachs and a lot of these banks. GE was trading at like $1 during the 2008 financial collapse. If you were able to buy a bunch of that and then hold it for later. 2020, imagine some of that. Even 2023, a lot of people seem to already forget that a lot of, Meta and a lot of these big internet type names, they were down 60, 70 plus %. So it doesn't mean that when they went back to highs, they went back up 60%. It means they doubled, right? If you just even take a look at Meta during the last kind of crash, remember everyone was mad at Zuckerberg because he was doing too much with the metaverse and all of that, and it fell 71%, right? A lot of people forget that wasn't that long ago. And then from that, it went up 700%. So I would certainly agree. What I would say is, for those who don't remember the lost decade and what we always called the lost decade, is if you go back to the S&P 500 and you go back to the year 2000 to 2008, there was nothing here, right? So this is 2000 to 2008 here. By the time we got back to new highs was 2013. So yes, when you have 10, 20, 30% pullbacks in the market, generally speaking, it's a good time to buy. The 2008, I believe, was up to 60% of a pullback. 67%. So it can happen, right? And it can be way worse than you expect. However, you're right. If you believe that, in a couple years' time, all of this will be forgotten, then you're going to be getting a lot of good names at discounts. One thing I will say is make sure it's a shopping list, not a shopping name. I've heard some people interpret that to, I'm just going to buy 1 or 2 stocks that I like. Right. I would say, have a list of 10 and then, put some money into those and potentially just split up your purchases over a couple weeks to a couple months and then go from there. But this is something, again, that I believe that it's the whole bear market has been made with the stroke of a pen from a single person, and then the whole bear market will go away with the stroke of a pen from a single person. So I'm very much with that chatter that it's depending on your time frame, it's time to start at least looking at things that you want to buy, because I think we all just wake up one day and the market's up 10%, and some of these names that you might love are up 20, 30, 40%. Problem is, none of us know when.
Well, exactly. Well, we have a pretty good idea of one person that might actually know when, and one day we're going to get a truth from that person, and then, like you said, we're just going to be up, and it might not even be 10%. It might be even more than that. We saw that one rally day where it was like 12% on the NASDAQ, right? So we know what can happen with, like you said, with the stroke of a pen. I'm glad you mentioned that Meta, because like Meta was at perfect $300 to $90, and then for it to get back and then be breaking out. Most trade, if you've never invested or traded in an environment like we have with those massive pullbacks, like the 2021 pullback was bigger than COVID, or back in the 08 or the dot-com bubble, just listen to the advice of people that have been there around before. Like once it really starts breaking down again, like if we take out these local bottoms that we just put in, there's nothing wrong with being patient. But before we move on, Michael, Dara actually had a question for you, so I wanted to make sure that she had an opportunity to ask you this question here while we have her.
Thank you so much, Michael, for being here with us today. We got a post-market news story, and I would love to hear what you have to think about this chart. This chart is MongoDB. MongoDB, we know, has been pretty beaten up, not even just as of late, just in general. And we had aftermarket here. The company's interim CFO has now left the company. He's gotten swooped up by Appian. They have not had a permanent CFO since, I believe, February. So with this now, they said they're going to be 7 to 10 days until they announce a new, hopefully permanent CFO. What are your thoughts on this chart, given all of this weakness? Is there any upside for MongoDB here?
The chart's at an important level. I will say, again, as not a fundamental guy, I get petrified of CFOs. I would rather a CEO leaving than a CFO leaving, because the CFO always knows where the bodies are buried, right? They're the accountant. Anytime anything goes wrong with the accounting side of things, I just get absolutely terrified. However, if you look at the chart here, this kind of 150 all the way down to kind of 125 area. I know it's a wide range, but it was very important. We spent nearly 2-3 years here, way back from 2019 to 2020. This is where we bounced during that 2022 bear market, and here we are again. If I'm right about MongoDB, from the very little dev experience I have, it's pretty much software dependent. So if they can get a CFO that I think the street ends up liking, it could be interesting, because like I mentioned in this morning shows, I'm really interested in just the software space, because of the fact that, again, immune from tariffs, at least for now, selling software. I think it's why Netflix is doing so well, all of these different things. But pretty big area here, right? You could, if you wanted to do a dip buy, I think you're wrong under 120. However, again, accounting things just terrify me, because then you get to, are they going to have to redo earnings? Is there something even more egregious that the CFO saw and had to leave? It freaks me out when CEOs or CFOs leave, because again, they know where all the bodies are hiding.
Oh, Mike, I agree with you. And over the years, that's just been one of those like red flags. I think you put the 3-day rule on this one like it was earnings. And if it manages, because look, you pull up a monthly chart and nobody's going to look at that monthly chart and not agree with the area that you're in. But I think if you hold that this week, that's a big sign. And you could probably do worse when you're looking for just pure bounce plays. Like, why not? If you let it be a massive level and let it hold the level through some bad news for a week, and then all of a sudden you might have something. I had a conversation at a dinner party last night about the software thing in general. A guy that works at Salesforce, and we were talking, and he was talking about that same thing. They're getting beaten up, but hey, there's no tariff right now on the software and the services side, although China is making some waves about that, and you could see that potentially change. But I do agree with that sentiment in general. But it's like it behooves us here, Michael. Almost every question we get in the show, I'm going to repeat this. Almost every question we get on this show about a stock, should I buy or do I like this or that? And it's just stock at the low, stock at the low. It's so rare that we get someone, and there's a couple people in the chat, I know we get these as well, where they looked at a big of enough list and they found something which is showing some relative strength. And the problem is, the last 2 years, finding good-looking charts to the dip buy in or pick something up in was just easier. And now all of a sudden we're in a situation where it's taking a lot of time to go through lists and go through stock charts and whatnot, to find something that might be good. But to your point, you just got to do it in a bear market.
Yeah, and there's papers everywhere if you want to read them, right? I could probably quote 4 or 5 of them off the top of my head, but one of the things that has been studied more than any other thing in the market and has existed, the first study on relative strength and momentum was Jadish like 100 years ago. And there's been so many studies showing that buying stocks near 52-week highs or breaking out to new highs versus buying stocks at lows just dramatically outperforms over the long run. And I don't know what it is psychologically that makes this happen. I think it's the whole thing that as humans, we are programmed to buy discounts. So we believe that if a stock is selling off or doing poorly or crashing, that's going to be the best area to look at. But the academic studies are out there. It's one of those things, again, that we do over at Stats Ed Trading, where we just use statistics for everything. There is so much in the statistical side of things of looking for things that are at 52-week highs or breaking out to new highs, doing so much better than things that are breaking down to new lows. So, when we talked about earlier about Meta and potentially making a list, well, let's say you wanted to follow those studies and you said, okay, I'm going to completely just ignore everything here on Meta until we break out back to new highs. Well, if you look at the chart here, the highs were $400, and then we moved up to nearly 800 after that. So even if you had missed the whole V-bottom recovery in Meta and just bought it when it hit new highs, it still doubled in the course of a year. So if you had just missed that and just taken a nap the whole time, again, you still got about a double in the course of a year. So it's hard nowadays. There's a lot of tools that can certainly help us, but yeah, I think you're much better off going out there and saying, like you mentioned earlier, there was someone asking about Nike. Well, I would just bring up the XRT, which is the real retail ETF. I would take all the lists and put them into an Excel spreadsheet or something and just start going through the list of retail names and see what does the best. And those are probably, not always, but probably going to be a better bet going forward. And at the very least, they'll be a safer bet going forward and probably less headache than trying to pick where the bottom on Nike is going to be.
I totally agree. And you just there's a save man woman piece. First of all, I love that name in the chat. Buy low, sell high is a revelation. LOL. We're saying the opposite here. And there's a trader, and there was a trader that was in my trainee group. And when I started as a trader back as a trainee on the trading floor in 2003, long-term investments, I wasn't even thinking about that. And there was one guy in my trainee group who was all about investing early and all that kind of good stuff. And there was two things that he would say. And he said you should never sell an all-time high or buy an all-time low. And then the other thing that he used to say is people always talk about buy low, sell high. He goes, you got to think about buy high, sell higher. Yep. Because that will, if you're thinking buy high, sell higher, then you're buying on strength as opposed to buying on weakness. And it's a simple thing to say, but trust me, we do not do it. We don't think that way as human beings. We don't look at it. It's not ingrained in us when we look at a chart to want to buy a top. But in the long run, as you said, it matters. And that's why we love you over there at Stats Edge, because when you just look at the numbers, they don't lie. How we as human beings act off of them, we are fallible and we can make mistakes. But at the end of the day, history is going to be able to teach something. It doesn't perfectly predict the future, but it doesn't lie about the past, at least when it comes to the hard data and the hard facts. How you interpret it, of course, is always something that we struggle with. But I thank you for bringing that up because it's such an important point. Sometimes buy high, sell higher is better.
And just the last thing I'll say about that, and the reason I think people find it so hard is I think there's just, again, in the buying and discount things is important. But I think there's, when we're, even for chartists, even for technicians like myself, they look at a chart and I think just naturally and subconsciously, they look at the bottom of the chart as support and the top of the chart as resistance. And it becomes really, really hard. I don't know how many people have messaged me and said, okay, when do we short gold? For no other reason than it's up a lot. But you could have said the same thing with gold at 2,000 and 2,500. Now it's at 3,000, and who knows, 4,000 or 5,000 later. But yeah, just the complete opposite of buy low, sell high. I think buy low, sell high is probably the worst saying that has ever been created in the market because, according again to the statistics and the number, you should be doing the complete opposite. You said it perfectly, Neil, with buy high and sell higher.
Yeah, join that trend. Don't be afraid to do it. And it doesn't mean that you're not going to be able to catch good dip buys. Look, I'm a day trader who trades support and resistance. So I'll trade off levels all the time. I will DCA into stocks that I really like because I don't know when the tariff thing is going to end. So I will do all that stuff as well. But I have fallen into that trap of seeing something go and not following the move. ARM was a great example for myself when I didn't buy it on the IPO and I was only waiting for dips. It was a horrible mistake on my part, and I can admit that. But thank you so much for coming through, Michael. Appreciate all of your sound advice as usual. You can always check him out over there at Stats Edge, our favorite charter market technician. Best of luck trading rest of the week, and we'll talk to you on Friday.
Talk to you Friday, guys.
Take care,
Thank you, Michael.
Yeah.
So we didn't get any news over there on Intel specifically. So obviously there was that spike. Just to maybe recap, there wasn't a lot in terms of earnings. You had the MongoDB story. You had Intel with a little bit of a bounce. And when there wasn't any news, that's right, I'd gone to a monthly chart there. When there wasn't any news, it just pulled right back in. So Intel back into the red, back underneath the resistance. Maybe it's a nothing burger, but they report on Thursday, so we will see how it does turn out. But the other thing that we're going to get to see around here, you got it right, Dan McIsaac. Roll call time, everybody. So you know what the drill is. Hit that subscribe button, jump in the chat because it's a subs only chat, and give a big shout out to Ramin on the ones and twos all day because Fabian couldn't make it in. Ramin didn't even take a break. Well, I did see Andrea in there for a little bit, so shout out to Andrea as well for helping her fill in. Great job. Shout out to Obi for filling in for Sharif with Joey options. Big shout out to Adara on the Netflix trade and bringing the news all day long. Shout out to Brennan. Shout out to my man Sean. Shout out to Bears versus Bulls, the best moderator in the business, and a thank you to Michael. So everyone shout out just the entire fam. Shout yourselves out for being the best little crew. And let's get some roll call started.
Thank you so much to everyone here with us every single day. Thank you to Bears versus Bulls for everything you do with this awesome community. You're greatly appreciated, making everyone feel welcome. And I certainly felt that when I joined. We have Neil, we have Sean, we have Sharif and Joe and Obi. We have Brendan, we have Ramin, Fabian, and Andre and Bianca. And we have everybody in this chat, the Piper, and what's here, Benista, Apogee, King, David, Stevenson, Etienne, Michael, another Michael back to back there, Liddy Bands, 7, Jarhead Trader, Christopher Mulligan, Jorge, HTH, Grov, Normal Special, Tyrone. We have Jeremy Flanagan. We've got Andrew Chow, Harry Lou, John Fernandez, Save Man, Woman, Peace. We've got Sir Poopy Paper Hands, Stubborn D, Never, Always, Ever. And please make sure to check out our social medias here, everyone's individual social media, Trader TV Live, and also TTV Research if you want some of these infographics or news posts. I'm currently working on an infographic compiling all of Donald Trump's Truth Social mentions of the Fed in 2025. And I am still combing through his account, so we put a lot of work into all the content for you guys. Check us out on X and join us here every single day.
He's working tirelessly, and if you see those infographics, they're absolutely super hot fire. But I'm not a rapper. Super hot fire. So shout out to Adara for bringing you all of that fantastic content. Hey, it's going to be a fun week. Tomorrow after the bell, we got Tesla earnings, so you know it's going to be wild. There's going to be lots of activity to trade, and we'll do it for you bright and early, 8:30 in the morning. We'll see you tomorrow. Have a good one.
Bye.